But you know how it go when you living on the hope of your past life. And I feel I can't take it no more. No, I can't keep up, it's just never enough. Life just keeps on giving me detours. It never lets up, always switching it up. These days, life's been a freeway. Time just keeps flying and I can't keep up. And they say I need to face things. I say I'm trying, but it's not enough. These days, life's been a freeway. Time just keeps flying and I can't keep up. And they say I need to face things. I say I'm trying, but it's not enough. My life's a rotary circle all around the bell. Every time I try to exit, I find myself right back where I started out. It's not about the cards I've been dealt. I've been playing my hand, I just don't understand. Guess that I should quit while I'm down. Gave it all that I can. Took my heart and you ran it over. These days, life's been a freeway. Time just keeps flying and I can't keep up. And they say I need to face things. I say I'm trying, but it's not enough. These days, life's been a freeway. Time just keeps flying and I can't keep up. And they say I need to face things. I say I'm trying, but it's not enough. I'm getting older, so are people around me. It's out, it don't let up. I feel I'm surrounded. I'm getting older, so are people around me. It's out, it don't let up. Feel I'm surrounded. I'm getting older, so are people around me. It's out, it don't let up. I feel I'm surrounded. I'm getting older, so are people around me. It's out, it don't let up. Feel I'm surrounded.
Funny thing about love is you never really know when it's coming, but you better believe you'll know when it's there. True story. I must have been searching, though I wasn't looking for much. Checking out the scene, Wasn't trying to get my numbers up. You know I keep it cool. I prefer to stay in the cut. Don't want no attention on me when I'm trying to shake the blues up off me. But then I saw your face. It caused my heart to race. Girl, you're looking like $1,000,000. Something about the way you strut your stuff. Oh, girl, you're fine as you wanna. What I'm supposed to do? Something told me got time to lose. Go ahead and bust a move. Funny thing about love, when it comes and goes, you never know. So you gotta keep your heart exposed, and you can be sure there's no cause and no cure. And if it wants you, oh, it'll come and find you. Fall back just a little. Don't wanna lead you on. Don't wanna push a feeling and make the feeling go. You see, I got your number, but still I ain't used the phone. No, I let it breathe for a minute, baby. Next thing I know, you call. Damn. One thing I know about love, you never know when it's coming, but you sure know it when it does. Yeah. One thing I know about love, you might get what you ask for, so you better be sure it's what you want. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Funny thing about love, when it comes and goes, you never know. So you gotta keep your heart exposed, and you can be sure there's no cause and no cure. And when it wants you, oh, it'll come and find you. Yeah. One thing I know about love, you never know when it's coming, but you sure know it when it does. Yeah. One thing I know about love, you might get what you ask for, so you better be sure.
...2022 GSL Season 2. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2022 GSL Season 2.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to day 2 of the GSL CODES. I'm Tasteless. Joined with me is State. How are you doing, man?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah, dude.
It is good to be back here at GSL. We had a really great start to the season on a couple of days ago. Some surprising results. We got another stacked group. I can't wait to get into the action, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Rogue, dying out immediately here in day 1. Of course, if you guys are asking, where's Artosis? Unfortunately, he still is ill with COVID-19. We're wishing him the best. But thank you for coming in again, man, and helping us out. I appreciate it.
Unfortunately, you guys have to deal with me for one more day.
It was honestly a great cast earlier on Monday. So I'm looking forward to this one as well. I do have a feeling that this day might just kind of go quicker than the other. I feel like the types of players we have, and at least the starting matchups that we have, a lot of these guys are not like long macro players, but players that kind of play to end the game at a specific moment in time.
Yeah, they'll try to take some kind of lead or catch their opponents off guard with some prepared build and just go in for the kill. I mean, ByuN is a player that really can grind it out and just kill somebody, like straight ahead.
Totally.
Same with Zest, really aggressive Protoss player. So yeah, it might be a quick one. Here we got the round of 20 bracket. Of course, Monday, Group A, Hero and DRG. Kind of surprising. I mean, that was a rough one for Rogue. And today here, Zest, Sue, ByuN, and ByuN. We got 2 Terrans, 1 Protoss, 1 Zerg. Nice little spread. And then next week, Estrella. First foreigner to play in the new GSL format.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be a lot of fun. And we have a lot of other foreigners either just now getting into Korea or will be coming in. And keep that in mind as we get to Season 3. Obviously, that's months away. But the point I'm trying to make is that we're going to go back to what this tournament's actually called, the Global StarCraft League. And not just global because we have English casting, global because we have foreigners coming down to compete. Of course, Korea was pretty much locked up from the outside world over the last 2 years because of the pandemic. So it's going to be fun to cast Estrella, but that is just, just the start of foreign presence again here in our tournament.
It's fantastic to have the country opening up again. I mean, just having an audience here in the arena is fantastic. Having the players here, getting more foreigners coming in now that restrictions are lifting a little bit. It's a bright future for GSL.
Yeah, dude, and today's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start this out on match 4-4-4-4.
All right.
All right, we did it, guys. All of the GSL was to lead up to this moment when we had 4 number 4s. We're ending this whole show after this match.
Zest, one thing that I'm really curious about is we've seen Protoss players kind of struggle in PvZ for what feels like a really long time. I mean, occasionally, like some kind of timing attack will catch people off guard. So we'll get Protoss winning series. It's not completely one-sided, but the way that Hero played on Monday in this kind of like almost caveman Ooga Boonga gateway style Protoss, where it is macro hard, it was so dominant. I wonder if we're seeing the meta start to shift.
It's an interesting point, State, and one thing to keep in mind is the way that Zest plays, he's very much a timing attack guy, which is sort of not what we saw from Hero, right? Hero just wants to kind of draw the game out until he's suddenly leveraged the position where the roles are reversed, and he has more bases, and by then the Zerg's just, it's too late.
Right. So my question is whether we're going to see something similar from Zest in any of these games, because again, this is a meta that's starting to develop. I mean, Hero has been doing these kind of tactics for what feels like a couple months now, but he even said in his interview, it's taken a while to get to this point where it's nice and refined, and we're getting ready to go into game number 1 right now. Zest and Sue, man, I can't wait.
Dude, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's good to have Sue back finally. You know, it's always sad when you see these guys go, but you know, GSL and StarCraft 2 have now been out for so long. We're kind of watching these guys go from their adolescent youths as pros, do their military service, or sometimes go to university and then come back and compete. And so, Sue, it's going to be interesting to see how he performs this season, but Zest, one of the best Protosses around, should be a fun match. We're going to start this out on the map Hardwire in this best of 3 to start out Group B in the GSL.
Came for war.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Zest. Guangdong Freaks, Sue.
So before we get too in the thick of it of this game, I know a lot of people skip the intros of the show, especially if they watch the VODs, which is most of the people that watch GSL. So I'm here with State. Artosis had COVID and wasn't able to come in, and he recovered from that, but he got monkeypox this morning, so he can't be here. That's too bad. I don't know, you know, hopefully by Monday he doesn't have a third, rare virus, but we're wishing him the best. Hoping he stays away from monkeys.
It's all that StarCraft Brood War ladder, man.
Yeah,
it's infecting
all
him.
losing to B rank Protosses. He eventually got monkeypox.
The stress, it takes a toll on the human body, you know?
Yeah.
Your immune system, it becomes weakened.
Yeah.
If he played Protoss or Zerg, maybe he would still be nice and healthy, but Terran, man.
Yeah, no, you're exposing yourself to a lot of disease.
Yeah.
When you do that. So, again, to kind of zoom out and go big picture, and we'll see if it turns out to be the case in this game, but we have to point it out because with Rogue being knocked out by Hero, and then Hero bringing such a new play style, one that we really haven't seen before, at least not in GSL or anything of the sort. Hero was winning with this kind of abstract style of just making stalkers and then using oracles and having sort of this mobile fighting group, and then never fully engaging, basically trading out, staying ahead, and then continuing to expand to where he either matched or outpaced the Zerg and then won. And I've never seen anything like it in GSL before. It was kind of crazy, and we had heard whisperings about this play style leading up to this, but to see it played out here now was very cool. So the question is Zest going to do this, or is Zest going to play more like the Zest we've seen in the past?
Absolutely. That's one of my big questions coming into this is how much has Hero's new strategy kind of defined the meta between the time of the last season of GSL and now? Because, I mean, as we were talking about before this match, this is a matchup that hasn't been super favorable for Protoss as of late. I mean, timing attacks, of course, can win games. Occasionally get Protosses that go into Sky Toss and things kind of snowball, but it hasn't really been the best matchup. And so Hero kind of coming in with a new style that can potentially branch out into, I mean, we saw him attempt, it didn't work, but we saw him attempt to even leverage that into like a Blink Stalker all in effectively. And I think that was the third base of DRG, if I'm not mistaken. If we see some kind of play style like that become popular, I mean, generally when Zerg struggles in competitive play, it's right after a patch or right after a big shift in the meta, because Zergs, they thrive when the game is almost solved to a point.
Yeah,
where
when the meta's cemented and they know what to expect from the other races, so it's really just a matter of can you stop it.
But we see Zest throwing down a second Stargate, so doesn't look like it will be that heavy Blink Stalker style that we have been seeing from Hero on day number 1. And we'll see exactly where he goes from here. He does have one Phoenix out right now, just cleaning up that Overlord at his natural and now patrolling across on the map. We'll try to find some damage over here on the third base, but 3 Queens already ready for him.
Okay.
Yeah. Not going to get anything done there, buddy.
Yeah, that Oracle taking quite a bit of damage. Went right through those Queens, actually. And with that amount of HP left over, which isn't very much, you're not going to be able to do that much with the Oracle, but with the double Stargate play on 2 bases, by the way, this is going to be an extremely different PvZ than the kind that challenged the meta that we saw on Monday, but I welcome this too. It's going to be 2 Stargate Phoenixes off of a third base. Now, I don't believe the second Stargate has been scouted or can be scouted for a while. I mean, the Phoenixes themselves can kind of kill that. So whenever you see like a 2 Stargate play, even though he's stopped making okay, no, he's going to start again. I was going to be like, that can't be the answer, is you make 3 Phoenixes out of 2 Stargates. But the idea is that you're just going to have so much more than what the Zerg is actually ready for, that the minimum defense they set up to protect the Overlords, drones, and Queens isn't going to be enough.
Right, we see that right now as Zest is starting to pick off some Overlords here in the main base. One more Transfusion off, that Queen barely out of energy. And we'll see what the response is for Su, but now we're seeing another sudden tech switch here for Zest as he's throwing down 2 robotics facilities, so playing a really high-tech style right now. I think the building setup for him at home is 2 gateways, 2 Stargates, and now 2 Robos, just now beginning the Forge. And the Twilight Council, we'll see if he's able to find any more damage, but Su, I mean, to his credit, his Queen count's really high. He's got his 4 Crawler here. Some drones will go down, but this is almost inevitable when you get this number of Phoenixes here this early in the game.
Yeah, he's done a good job not really dropping the Phoenixes. There are some Banes being made here, and sometimes when you're microing the Phoenixes, that's when Baneling attacks can be so strong you're just not going to be watching. So let's see how quickly he's able to react here. He's picking up some drones now. He does bust through as he pulled the probes in time.
This has the potential to do a lot of damage right here.
Now
There's no
you're
shield
trapped in
battery
here with
set up.
me.
Oh, no. One thing that Phoenixes are not very good at is fighting Zerglings.
Yeah.
Might not be a surprise, but Yeah, those 2 gateways right now coming back to bite him. We see 4 more in production, but he can only warp in 2 gateway units at a time. And honestly, behind this, Su decided to go for this attack, and then he made a big round of drones. I think 10 plus were in production, but right now he might be kicking himself a little bit, because if this had been a full lean flood after this little mini bust right here at the natural, he could have got a lot of worker damage in. But as it stands, just going to be a 14 worker lead now for Su, so not the end of the world here for Zest, but Su, with that run by, is going to scout the 2 robos. He has a very good idea of exactly what is going on in Zest's base. And for me, the question is, how is Zest going to take it from here? We see he's pumping out Immortals, but I mean, when you have your full tech tree kind of scattered out, as it happened there with Su going in for that run by, it's really not a good feeling. You want to have at least some level of... You don't want the Zerg to know exactly what you're doing, because they can just kind of navigate their army in a way that is going to be really punishing for you in the mid game.
He did get to see that double robo tech here, although we don't see the robo being used right now, neither of them. And he's now going to go into Stalkers, you know, with the weapons attack. Now, again, we saw Mass Stalker before, you know, on Monday from Hero, but this is a very different game. We've had major techs, 2 of them, from the Stargates to the Robos here, so this is not the same kind of game. Maybe he'll try to make it look like that same kind of game, but we should just note the way that Zest got here is very different from the kind of meta shift that we were talking about earlier on in the show.
Absolutely. The tempo is totally different. I would say at this point, Hero would have been pushing forward, maybe even posturing to take a 5th base, but instead Zest right now doesn't really have that tempo. He doesn't have too much map control besides these Phoenixes, and he's just going to continue to pump out Immortals and Stalkers. Nice little catch here on these Banelings. Those Stalkers effectively a force field right there. Only a couple of probes, if any, going down there at the 3rd base is nice for Zest, because when you're on 3 Nexuses like this, just now starting the 4th, you really do not want your eco to get interrupted at all, as we see Su now pushing 85 drones. And from here on out, going to be a lot of military production. I don't know if Zest is going to be able to hang on against a push, because he doesn't really have any kind of splash damage to deal with the mass Ling Ravager flood that I feel like is almost inevitable at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think he doesn't quite have the kind of weaponry to actually fight this. Immortals are not good against Ling Bane. I mean, Immortals don't die to Banes. But Lings are great against them. And, you know, the Banelings basically just have to avoid being targeted onto the Immortal, and everything else they hit is going to be of value. So, you know, this could be a 1-2 punch victory here for Su, where he's going to come in here and hammer the base. Maybe Zest barely survives, and then the next attack might finish him off.
Speaking of Immortals not dying to Banelings, that one tanked like 10 of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But this army for Su is really powerful right now. He's at 117 army supply. He is maxed. He wants to take this fight and instantly remax right now. The Zerglings coming in for the flood. A beautiful surround right here. No force fields to be seen. The Phoenixes are going to start lifting up some Ravagers, but that is just so much Zerg.
Yeah, this is an insane amount of damage. All the major tech has been destroyed with the exception of the 1 Immortal on the left. And it's very, very easy for Su to just remax out here. And Zest, you know, he took an unusual path to tech into the mid and late game here, and he's paying for it here. He just doesn't have the right tools at his disposal to recover from this with ease at all. Even though the Lings are going to be cleaned up, we know back at home there's a lot more Lings and everything else being made. And I think we are almost to the end of this first game.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I think Zest might be able to stabilize against these Zerglings, but at that point, whenever you lose critical units, like, oh, he's just going to tap out, because whenever you lose critical units, like all of your Stalkers, all of your Immortals, I mean, you're relying, when you play this tech-heavy style, on keeping that army alive and effectively achieving a death ball. And so once that gets wiped out, I mean, realistically, he could have dragged that out, but there's no point.
You know, with the Immortal tech, it just kind of looked like Zest was trying to counter something that wasn't there. Where it's like, look, I know Immortals are great units and stuff, but I mean, not against what you're fighting. I mean, it was mostly Ling Bane. There were some Roaches and some Ravagers in the back, but, you know, Su basically sidestepped the tech that Zest had and punished him. We're going to go to 2,000 atmospheres here for map number 2.
Yeah, Zest off to a little bit of a rocky start here against Su, who, I mean, him coming back here into the GSL, it's a really great game number 1 right now. He's looking strong.
He's looking very, very good. Sue never seeming to, be rusty, to put it at that. Zest needs to come back, or Sue is going to 2-0 this. Let's go.
Came for war.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Zest. Guangdong Freaks, Sue.
You know, as we watched Heroes games in day 1 of GSL, we were kind of wondering a little bit about how many other Protoss players were able to try this, or if it was going to be something that was almost ByuN-esque in terms of the way that he's able to control his army and move across the map, being hard to replicate for these other players. And so I don't know, I still have that question in my head, because if you're able to get that movement down with the Blink Stalkers and the Oracles, and you are able to get the map awareness and set up the walls as Hero did pretty much effectively, flawlessly, and of course got some Sue fans in the chat. Sue's coming back now. People are excited about this. It's so nice to have an audience.
In the studio,
in
bro.
the studio, excuse
the
me.
plebs are in the chat. They're at home in their pajamas.
I've been spending
This
too
is
much
here.
I've been spending too much time on Twitch, man.
I know.
But to the point that I was saying, it doesn't really surprise me that Zest was going for more of a tech-heavy style there, because what we saw from Hero is like, he has been workshopping this for a while, but it seems like the kind of thing that if you don't know it inside and out, and you're not able to position your Stalkers and move across on the map and retain your Stalker ball and keep all of the Oracles alive to prevent any like Zergling surrounds, it can just kind of collapse, right? And maybe that's something that a lot of these other Protoss players have attempted in practice and haven't really been able to make work consistently yet. But frankly, from my perspective at least, based on the matches that we saw in day number 1, it feels like such an effective way of playing this matchup that I'm still a little surprised that we're not seeing players attempt this just yet.
Yeah, like, you can see that when, like going back to that last game, right? Like, Zest went for the Phoenixes, and that also is a way to engage the Zerg, just like the Stalkers do. But the thing is, the Phoenixes basically come and kill a bunch of stuff, and then they have to leave. There's too many Queens, and they're out of energy. And so it's like you hurt the Zerg, but the Zerg just kind of makes the drones again. It's not like it was nothing, but it seems like with the Stalker play, the threat is kind of constant. And, you know, you can choose to press and fight on when you think you have an advantage. And the moment you think you're losing, you blink off creep and use the Oracles to clean up anything underneath it. And it seems to just sort of have more momentum behind it.
It's all about momentum. It's all about tempo.
Yeah.
We saw Hero taking bases, as you said, on par with the Zerg, if not faster at some points.
Yeah.
And even in the late game, surpassing the Zerg in worker count as he's pumping 6 probes out at a time.
And it should be pointed out, like, I mean, this is being casted by 2 Protoss players. Like, that's not what the matchup looks like normally.
Absolutely.
Okay, like occasionally, and you know, I think a great version of like alternative approaches to matchups is when you hear people talk about mech as Terran players, where they go, oh, they're meching, so this is all kind of different. The whole game pacing is going to be, it's not going to look like if they went for BioTank or anything like that. But yeah, we're kind of seeing something similar idea-wise to that, only this is more aggressive and less mech-like. But yeah, it's very cool to see. Now this time we have the Glaives upgrade coming here. Zest is making some more gates. He's got a 3rd.
Zest has cut worker. Okay, he's just now resuming pro production, making 2. For a second, I was wondering if this was going to be a feign, even with the gases, because it's a lot of Glaive Adepts that you can make off of 2 bases, and that 3rd base with no residual pro production did make me curious, and we're going to see those Adepts moving out now, and this does still feel kind of a little bit like a feign. I mean, Zest is just sitting on 41 workers right now, maybe hoping that Sue overdrone just a little bit, because he's really amped up to just continuously produce Adepts. I don't know if Sue actually has...
Oh, man. losing these adepts immediately is actually really bad.
Yeah.
Especially when you're invested in glaives. You really need to have like all the adepts there. Even having 3 or 4 that have been picked off.
Okay.
So many adept pressure builds are hinged on snowballing fights with the adepts, which means you need to have an overwhelming amount that once you get them weakened, they can never get back up.
Yeah, I'm not liking this for Zest anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he lost those 2 adepts, and there's a very small Ling run by the third base that saw a big warp in, and now Su is going to be ready for this. This initial engagement going really well for Zest, but we had a lot of Roaches and Lings in production. Here they come across the map now. More adepts taking a ton of damage. We'll see if those Shades are able to pop into the main base, and yes, they will, but 4 Roaches already working for him, and this is just getting shut down. I mean, some drones will fall, but at what cost? This is almost 1,000 resources and adepts going down right now, and Zest, he's trying to make a transition into a double Stargate fleet beacon.
Oh, man. I feel like you're going to lose your third if the Zerg chooses to attack you. I mean, obviously, since we can see everything in the game, it's easy for us to call. We'll see if Su actually goes for it. Yeah, look, man, we've had this with Zest in the past where when it seems like a lot of other stuff isn't working out, he just starts making adepts. And as each year passes, it seems like he loses more when he goes for these adept builds, excuse me, to be honest.
Even this small attack here at the third base is devastating. I mean, Zest doesn't have a lot of resources to deal with this right now. He will eventually be able to hold, but that's almost by Su's good graces because he's droning behind this. He's not making more Roaches and Lings. This third base easily could have gone down.
But I guess he's already killed off enough workers. I mean, this third base is like a paperweight right now.
Oh, it's absolutely paid for itself. And at the same time, you know that Su is kind of scratching his head and it's like, okay, I know you have all these gateways because you just attacked me with the depths. Where is your money, man? What are you doing? And the Overseer is going to come in here and potentially confirm that double Stargate as the first 2 carriers are out on the map. And Su right now, he's got a Spire, so we might see some big Corruptor or Muta switch coming into this. I'm interested in seeing where he's going to take his response. But right now, I mean, the supply looks advantageous for Zest, but that's because Su is making 2,000 res right now.
Yeah, dude. He is, you never really see 2 carriers come and attack alone in this game, but we're having that now. He's going to try to see what he could clean up with that here. And I guess you take whatever you can get. See, in my head, I was thinking, okay, if he's going to go for carries, he's going to have to stay back for a little while before he can really show this. But he's going to come up here. He's going to get what looks like at least 3 queens, right? I don't see another transfusion coming down.
This is surprisingly good damage right now. Taking off these queens is really nice.
This kind of reminds me of when we saw the battle cruiser teleport in,
on
Monday and start to kill stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess they, it really is a headache to deal with this air, these air units like this. And now this game has been turned on its head because, like, we're seeing a lot of damage, including 6 drones, multiple queens picked off here. 4 carriers are now out, and Void Rays are going to come behind with that. But here come those Corruptors.
Yep.
And immediately one is shot down. No!
Oh, almost got the second one there as well. Barely surviving. Flux Banes and 3 more Void Rays now in production. But yeah, that counterattack did much better than I thought it would. I was thinking the Spire maybe would be in time to get the Corruptors out, but right now, Zesty's got to be careful. That's a lot of Corruptors coming in. They're going to immediately go after that carrier with low HP, even popping a Void Ray as it's coming out of the Stargate. And 1 Corruptor will go down, but I mean, you trade that there for a carrier any day of the week. You do not want to let the Protoss, that's not going to happen soon.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I have all this APM. What do I do with it? He does pull the fleet forward here and picks off another Void Ray. Corruptors can be produced much more quickly than, Void Rays or carriers or anything like that. But am I wrong in that I think Zerg can just match the Void Rays with his Corruptors and win the fight, and then the game goes from there?
I think you're right about that, but it might depend on how defensively Zest plays it, because I think if he stays at home with static defense, with shield batteries, and he doesn't get caught out of position, he might just be able to hold on and try and reach a critical mass, because right now, Su, he only has a 7 worker advantage, and he's just now taking his 4th base. I think it just finished. Right at the same time that Zest is getting his up, so the eco advantage is not quite as large as you might expect, and that kind of goes back to that 2 carrier attack that we saw from Zest earlier, killing a bunch of drones and resetting the queen count a bit. But here we go again. I mean, these are scary fights right now.
All right, he's not going to be able to deny the Nexus. He still can't contest the Protoss air fleet. I think you're probably right, State. I think that damage that was done with the carriers early on really went miles.
It took me by surprise because when I was looking at it from the observing point of view, I was thinking that the tempo was just a little bit too slow, that Sue was going to be able to identify this and have Corruptors out earlier, but just wasn't the case.
You know, in fairness, we don't see Protosses be that active with small numbers of air units at that phase of the game. And so maybe it's a thing where Sue, you know, didn't respect the actual threat that could be there. But again, I think if you just keep piling on Corruptors, you eventually strong-arm the Protoss. He's going to come down here and try to ooze down the Nexus again. Oh, or not. But basically, it's all to try to draw the air fleet in for an actual fight. He doesn't want to fight over batteries or anything else like that.
That is a lot of Corruptors, and once it gets to the number where he can one-shot Void Rays, it'll become very scary because that pretty much nullifies the effect of shield batteries. But
so Flyer attacks is done, which might trigger him to come in and attack.
I'm surprised by the Roach Ravagers we're seeing in production right now. I suppose maybe that's because, like, if you're going for an engagement and you throw down Corrosive Biles, I mean, these air units, you see them right now, they're stacking up, and if those Biles connect, it's going to do a lot of damage, so Zest will have to move his army away, and when he's moving it away, he's not doing damage.
Yeah.
But, interesting to see Sue try and navigate this. He is able to pick off one Void Ray like that, just one shot. Does trade out one or two Corruptors for this. Going for a second. Does get another.
Yeah,
and,
pulls back here. Air Weapons 2 is about to finish, which is only going to add more power here. Now, again, it's easy to just watch this from the Protoss's perspective and think, well, you know, he's not killing these carriers and Void Rays, but at the same time, you got to look at the map and realize that Zerg is continuing to grow here.
Right, there's no threat to the creep spread, for example. Sue eventually is going to be taking another expansion as we see that one pop off in the top left. And Archons, though, I gotta say, they changed the dynamic of these fights a lot because suddenly there's much less risk of any of these air units for Zest getting picked off by the Corruptors because the splash damage that Archons do on stacked Corruptors is kind of gross sometimes, honestly. Like, a couple of shots could pop all those babies.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. Zerg's maxed out, and Protoss is going to be maxed out shortly. And so we want to watch the amount of minerals and gas that are going to be banked behind that because a lot of times when you have, especially with these play styles, which involve a lot of air units and a lot of posturing on either side, it comes down to both sides wiping their supplies out and then seeing who can fill theirs in better. And I think, to be honest, Zerg is just better at filling in their supply with what they need because you know, essentially everything comes from larva. You can get exactly the right balance of what you need, whereas Protoss, it's like, well, you know, how many Stargate units can you remake versus how many Gateway units can you warp in versus how many Robo units do you need? So, regardless, we're going to see the Protoss try to push here. Again, with this many Archons against a Zerg air fleet, like, you got to be careful, man, as a Zerg, because Splash will just immediately kill everything.
All right, here we go. Stu's really actually committing to this a little bit more than I expected as the Banelings are rolling in. And he pulls back. I think he realized that was not the engagement he was looking for, but he ends up trading a ton of Banelings, a ton of resources that are going to eventually be sapped out from his bank just for shield damage on Archons. And if I'm Zest right now, I'm seeing that, and I'm thinking this is a huge opportunity.
If Zest can't push through and do a lot of damage now, then he never could have because that was such a poor engagement from the Zerg. But, you know, already we see the supplies filling back up here.
Yeah, the Remax coming in strong for Sue now, and there just doesn't appear to be enough splash damage. This fight now for Zest is really not the best because these Corruptors, they're kind of spread out. I mean, you see the numbers for the Skytoss units for Zest. He's down to 140 supply, just 70 army, and eventually Sue is going to be fully remaxed with all his units on the field, and Zest, he's trading out these units, and just like you said before, how many Stargates does he have? He can't really replace those critical units as quickly as Sue can. If he wants to max, he's going to have to make a lot of Gateway units, and that's not really what you want in this situation. It's a tough spot.
Yeah, it's rough, and I'll tell you what, man. I mean, I know this was, you know, one of the ways to play the game last year, but it's already looking kind of an anachronism, man. I mean, it's just an old way of playing, and we're kind of seeing it again be obsolete. We saw a lot of Protoss players basically lose with this style, you know, where this is going to be just a massacre here. Bane's on to Archons because why not? Why not spend the money? You got to live a little. Oh, man, even that bile hitting the carrier.
That bile is money.
Yeah.
Damn.
Look, I don't see the Protoss making a lot of headway here. We're kind of seeing the Protoss basically fight in probably one of the best positions you could fight in on the map and not make any headway. And by the way, that position isn't near any base.
True.
There's no threats that are being generated. I mean, the Zerg doesn't, right now the Zerg can dump so many resources, and he just has, again, into an army.
The one issue for Su right now is that his mineral income is not that great. If you look at his macro management, I mean, he has so much gas income, even from that high Vespene geyser over there on the left, that hatchery, that he can't really replenish a lot of the units that he wants to. And so, I mean, Zest right now, he kind of has the opposite problem. He has all of these minerals, and he doesn't have any gas to make the high-tech units that he wants. Like, he's got these Archons on the field, but that's about it. So we're now suddenly in a situation where, yeah, those fights for Zest, they were not the best in terms of straight-up trades, and we finally do see Vipers coming out for Su. The 16-minute mark. This is a little bit late. I'm surprised we didn't see these earlier, but that's so many Archons, and here we go, another fight coming in. Those Banelings not doing a lot of damage. Archons getting a lot of splash in, and this engagement's about as good as you can expect there for Zest, but again, it's hard to push in.
I mean, Su really did a great job at winning that air fight. We didn't see the charge on the Void Rays either, and so now it does seem like there's more air dominance here. Now, again, the Archons are going to be the ultimate threat here, so we want to watch for that. But it does seem like over time, oh, nice hit on those workers. You just want to try to kite as best you can against these Archons. They are going to get whittled down. If you don't have more Zealots over here, Lings can eventually overcome this. And the last carrier goes down. It's a ground army. Now, in this tech switch, has the Protoss thrown the Zerg off enough? I feel like it's barely a no.
I think he might have, though. I mean, he has 3,000 minerals in the bank. You look at Su, he's remaxing on 44 Lings and 3 Roaches, and yes, Zest's army did mostly get wiped there. These Corruptors are going to try and find some damage on a Nexus, but if Zest is able to really build up his production, I mean, he's hitting the main mining bases right now for Su. That could be 30 Zealots and another 5 or 6 Archons on the field in the moment, and Sui's really going to have no response for this. I feel like maybe the macro management, the way that he was diversifying his economy between mineral and gas just wasn't there yet, because this 3,000 gas in the bank, it's not providing any utility, and if Zest is able to successfully spend all this money on a purely ground army, I don't know what the response is going to be for Su, especially losing these bases in the top left. I mean, like,
I think you're right. I think Zest may barely win this. Like, it was just enough to get to that tipping point. We see these Lings are going to surround this one Immortal, which is going to be pretty important to kill. He doesn't even kill that. Yeah, we're going to go to game 3, I think.
I think we are. I mean, kind of a topsy-turvy game where both players maybe not taking the best trades, but Zest eventually eking out the advantage over the course of all of these battles.
You know, there's a couple moments where Su really threw his Banes into the Archons. I think thinking it was going to be like a finishing, killing blow. And, you know, that really did give Zest this, you know, opportunity to punish hard. Now, we haven't ended the game yet. I mean, Su can still try to target down this Nexus, and the resource income is not that great right now for the Protoss, so let's keep that in mind here, too. Okay, he gets it again.
This helps Su a lot. This is the one thing he's really got going for him, because supplies are starting to equalize now, and I mean, unfortunately for Zest, I love that you harped on this earlier, how when you're the Protoss player in these situations, it's not like you have Larva and you can just build everything that you want with all your production.
Yeah.
Because if Zest had just gateways and no Stargates, or if he had even 5 or 6 more gateways and he was able to warp with a full gateway army after that last engagement, I think he might have just been able to run Su over, but instead he's just been trickling out this army, and that's barely giving Su enough time to stabilize. And so he's not out of the woods yet. He's trying to take this base down here at the 6 o'clock, and he's doing a great job of denying this expansion here at 12. Zest finally catching wind of this, and he's in position. He does not want that Nexus to get shut down again, but
now, there's a chance this game just gets drawn out. No, it's not.
Oh, I love that
Tasteless,
timing.
why are you allowed to cast the game?
I don't think you were wrong, but I mean...
I thought was it slowed down a little bit. I'm like, well, maybe Su just keeps making an army and tries to survive off 6. But yeah, Zest, I think long-term was going to win that. Kind of a crazy beginning to the end there when he just had enough gateway units out. you know, we saw enough Banelings connect on Archons, and, you know, I know in theory if you have enough money it doesn't matter, you know, how the Banelings connect because you're just going to wipe them out and remake, but this game it did. Su did not have enough. He did not respect the threat that Zest had, and then Zest was able to power through with a strong ground and pound army, and we're tied up 1-1.
Yeah, we're going to be going on Berlin Guy for map number 3, and it's kind of been a slugfest, especially that last match. It felt like at different points, both players had chances of winning.
Super scrappy game back there between these two. And now we're going to settle this score, guys. It's tied up 1-1. Who goes on to the winner's match? Is it Zest or Su? We're going to find out now.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Zest. Guangdong Freaks, Su.
One thing that Zest does really well is block the natural expansion of Zerg. He sends that probe out so early. Like,
oh yeah, it's like he just wants to get in there and at least know what order you're going to take bases. Because if you block the natural, they take their third, but then you know their third base is also going to be at the natural, right? Which I think is smart because, excuse me, it's smart because there's actually, you know, a lot of times 2 places the Zerg can take a third base at, right? You know, like for instance on this map, it could be where we see the second base being taken now, or it could be like center left, kind of depends on the game. And a lot of times that ends up sculpting what kind of timing attack a Protoss can do. So I think you're kind of getting yourself into a position of at least knowing what to expect when you do this. And it's annoying.
It's very
annoying for the Zerg.
At this point, I mean, everyone kind of works it into the build. It's just like, yeah, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I mean, at the top level, it comes and you just like move on. You've dealt with this a million times, but you know what I'm saying? It's
you're absolutely correct. And you also have to consider the travel time. Like Su in his main base right now, 16 drones on minerals, 3 on gas. He's got to send the rest of them to the third base, and that's an extra 5-10 seconds that drones aren't mining.
Right.
It adds up. But yeah, Zest is he's so quick about it. I think out of every Protoss player that I see, Zest is the one that sends the probe out the earliest, the most consistently.
Yeah. It's always going to get there in time to mess stuff up. So we've got the Twilight Council. Now, it's easy to forget, but let's mention again here, there were adepts made in Game 2.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot the way that game started with how strange it turned out, really.
Well, it's pretty forgettable because, you know, so much of it came down to this sort of heavy air tech. So maybe we're going to have the adepts again. It does seem like it's once in a blue moon when the adept timings really work that well. It just seems like it's a thing in the game that Zergs have figured out how to deal with. You know, in the early days of Legacy of the Void, like adept timings literally smashed like everybody. Like it was getting to the point where I was actually cracking up in some of the games. I couldn't hold back how ridiculous it was.
I love doing that.
Yeah.
I was still active back then, man. Those were the good old days.
Well, nobody had really dealt with a thing like an adept before. Just the way it moved and everything.
Right, it was a really
and it was a better unit back then too. It hadn't been nerfed.
It was a very interesting unit to introduce into StarCraft 2. We've never really had an ability quite like that where it's like a delayed blink that can be canceled, and your opponent knows exactly where it's going to go.
And then when people figured out that you can block their adept shade with your shade, which like
PvP
remember when that
nightmare.
actually just happened? Like nobody knew about that, and then someone figured it out, and it was like everybody had to just scramble to.
I was so bad at blocking my main base ramp because you have to do it like every couple of seconds. And
if they get their adept in your base and they kill 3 probes, you probably lost the game in the PvP. So. It was bad.
Getting flashbacks right now. And actually, the adept build that we're seeing from Zest is much more aggressive than last time.
Yeah.
He actually went for the Robo. He got the Warp Prism. This is the most refined possible build. He's at 34 workers right now, only 12 on minerals.
Yeah, very quick Warp Prism. This gets started right away. It's going to sync up right now. Glaives is done. So the Zerg is just now making the first real set of lings to try to fight this.
This is effectively an all-in, and right now, Sui's sitting at 38 workers. That is not too much of an over-drone, but my concern for him right now is I don't think he actually has a Roach Warren, and if Zest is able to identify this and snowball and get a little bit more adepts, I'm not sure that... Oh, he does have a Roach Warren. Okay, so he has 3 Roaches in production. This is not the end of the world, but there's a lot of threat here between these adepts.
All right, he's going to go for the Warp Prism, and I was going to say a second ago, if you can't keep the Warp Prism alive, you probably lose the game.
This is not a good engagement there for Su, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He traded out all of his lings. He only got a couple of adepts down. He does have more Roaches in production,
but he can't send more in either. He's got to make another Warp Prism, so I feel like Zerg is going to be okay from here.
Did the Warp Prism get sniped there?
It did get sniped, yeah. The Queens targeted it, and so it's just these 4 adepts. There's another Warp Prism being made, but I feel like, to be honest with you, like, it's almost already too late. I mean, a player like Su, if you give him room to breathe for 45 seconds or something like that, like, he's already going to be ready for this. And
you're absolutely correct. Yeah, I missed the Warp Prism going down.
You're fine.
Because if that Warp Prism stays alive, then suddenly it could be really problematic trying to catch these adepts with just Roaches and a small number of lings. Instead, yeah, the wind is out of the sails for this push with Zest, and instead he's going to be taking double gas. He's going to build up his probe count again and go for disruptors. And I really like that as he was making that push, he made a robotics bay just as a fail-safe, because you know what the response is going to be to this. It's going to be Roaches, and the typical follow-up for Zerg is a Roach Ravager timing attack, or at least Roaches on the field. And
it's a really Zest game here to just kind of see him commit to adepts once more, and unfortunately it seems like it's going to not work. Some not optimized targeting here as well, we saw earlier. And, you know, Zerg in this position, he's got about 5 more workers here, so it's not an insane lead, but he's comfortable.
There's no third base coming down for Zest, though, and he's now getting Warp Prism speed. I assume he'll continue Disruptor production soon. Actually going into Blink.
He recalled that Warp Prism back because he wants to have the 2 Disruptors to come in here. So this is going to be do or die, I think. He is starting probes again, so he's at least concluding that if the rush doesn't work, he's going to try to have some attempt to come back into this.
All right, here we go. Disruptor shots coming out. The Roaches are actually idling right now. Those are huge hits there by the Disruptors. That's about as favorable as it can get for Zest, but Su, he still just has so many units. The Adepts are continuing to bleed out.
He just doesn't have enough to support this. I mean, it all goes back to that first Warp Prism. You have to be warping in Adepts every second you can. The build has to be optimized like that, and you know what? Su saw the Achilles heel. He took out the Warp Prism, which ultimately just terminates the rush entirely. And now we see he's going to come in here, try to kill some drones. Good split with the Queens, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised if Zest tapped out with his next push here. This is going to be such an uphill battle to try and survive this. I mean, Su right now, all he's got to do is make Roachling Ravager, and Zest is going to be in a lot of trouble. Here we go, another Disruptor shot coming in. Not only able to connect with 1 Roach right there, and Zest, he is going up to 8 gateways here on 2 bases, so he's doing everything in his power to survive right now. Blink is still not quite done yet, so you have to Warp Prism micro some of these Stalkers if he wants them to survive, but there's so much Zerg. More probes falling down, and Zest kind of maybe digesting the loss a little bit because this is such an uphill battle. I would be flabbergasted if he's able to pull a win out of the hat.
I mean, any 2-base all-in, it's so, especially when you have your tech stuck like it is, it's like, how are you ever going to come back? And you can see Zerg freely powers up on 3 bases with a healthy amount of drones. And a 4th base whenever it's time. I mean, you basically just watch the Protoss. You say, okay, is he going to try to take a 3rd? I might try to kill him. If he doesn't, I'll eventually take a late 4th, and I'll kill him. I mean, you know, not all end games are made, equally. Some are, the most epic end games. Others, the game was decided somewhere in the middle. And I feel like this is one of those games.
I think Su's just going to go for the checkmate move. He knows that he has a 50% better economy. He's got 20 more drones.
Yeah.
Just never let Zest take that 3rd base. And Zest, he's trying everything he can to get back on the map. That's a healthy number of Stalkers, but he needs the Disruptor shots of his absolute life to make anything happen here. We see him moving across on the map a little bit right now, trying to get some more damage in and chipping away just piece by piece right now with these Disruptor drops. It's about the best you can hope for, is picking off a couple of Roaches. The real critical thing is going to be the 3 Disruptor shots that happen in the big engagement, but Su's creep spread is so good. Those Roaches, with Roach speed, they're going to be moving so fast. I don't think he's going to be able to I don't think he's going to be able to hit any good shots. We'll see, though.
Yeah, this is a very tough angle to make this work. Nice! He actually gets those 2 Ravagers. The problem is once you see the Zerg Army actually take their shots, I mean, that's going to be a GG. Su wins the first best of 3 here in Group B. And I got to say, he looks to be in great shape. I think Zest is looking kind of like the Zest that we've seen the last couple years, which is good, but not good enough.
Yeah, just the adept timing is just really not working out. I feel like even in game 2, I don't think his opening really gave him an advantage. It was the carrier switch that allowed him to eke out a win there at the end and some really nice late game finesse play. But there in game 3, I mean, the trade with the Lings and the Queens, it looked like it was really favorable for Zest because the Adepts, he lost like only a handful of them and he was able to pick off all of the Lings. But as soon as that Warp Prism goes down, if you don't have another in the pipeline, the rush is over, just as you said.
It's kind of crazy how much that happens, by the way, when the whole rush is hinged on not losing the Warp Prism. Guys, Bunny vs. ByuN coming up next. We will be right back.
Take a real close look now. Soon you'll realize you don't know what's coming down. I got you hypnotized. Take a real close look now. I'm going to show you how. I'm about to get down. So keep it up right now. So keep it up. So keep it up with me. I need to move. I need to feel the beat. Don't be a fool. You wanna hang with me. Life isn't easy. You gotta roll the dice. You wanna change. Join the paradise. So bring it on if you wanna hang with me. Alright. You know I know we kick it like no one else. We kick it like no one else. Listen out, there ain't nothing like this. You know I know we kick it like no one else. We kick it like no one else. Listen out, there ain't nothing like this. Take a real close look now. Baby, I'm versatile. Watch me when I come down. I make it worth the while. Take a real close look now. I'm gonna show you how. I'm about to get down. So keep it up now. So keep it up. So keep it up with me. I need to move. I need to feel the beat. Don't be a fool. You wanna hang with me. Life isn't easy. You gotta roll the dice. You wanna change. You're in the paradise. So bring it on if you wanna hang with me. You know I know we kick it like no one else. We kick it like no one else. Listen out, there ain't nothing like this. You know I know we kick it like no one else. We kick it like no one else. Listen out, there ain't nothing like this. You know I know we kick it like no one else. We kick it like no one else. Listen out, there ain't nothing. I'll be coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I'll be coming up hot for a minute.
저 의미야호 우리가 기다린 사이다. 저 의미야호 부담 없이 즐기는 사이다. 식이섬유 함유 이런 게 이 시대의 사이다. 질성 사이다 플러스.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼 홀릭, 점심엔 라떼 홀릭, 저녁엔 라떼 홀릭, 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀릭.
I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I've been coming up hot for a minute.
처음이야 우리가 기다린 사이다. 처음이야 부담 없이 즐기는 사이다. 시기섬유 함유 이런 게 이 시대의 사이다. 질성 사이다 플러스.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼 홀릭, 점심엔 라떼 홀릭, 저녁엔 라떼 홀릭, 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀릭.
형님들 아프리카에 승부 예측 생긴 거 아세요, 여러분들?
아니 e스포츠 여기 탭에 있잖아요 여러분들. 아니 이게 새로 생겼더라.
저는 광동에 올인했어요.
아 진짜요?
네.
아 그럼 전 DRX에 올인.
모바일도 똑같이 아래 가운데 보면 e스포츠 있어요. 잼이라는 포인트가 있어요.
아프리카 내에서 쓸 수 있는 재화라고 생각하시면 돼요.
잼을 사은품으로 교환 가능하다고요?
이 잼으로 응모를 다 할 수 있어.
키보드는 벌써 나갔네.
아이폰 갤럭시 탭. 아 이게 200잼이야?
교환까지 할 수 있으니까 형님들 아프리카 승부 예측 많이 많이 사랑 부탁드립니다. 화장 오세요.
Today's matchup: Zest, Sue, Bunny, ByuN. Round of 20, Group B. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2022 GSL Season 2.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the GSL Code S. We just finished our first best of 3, and it was close, but ultimately Sue just better than Zest, to be totally honest. I think that the one win that Zest got was epic. It was cool, but Zest is, I don't know, he's not bringing the kind of flavor that we saw from Hero. He doesn't seem to be kind of as up to date with the meta. I know that this is all very early calls for me here. We're like 2 days into GSL, but Hero approaching the matchup very differently and then beating the previous GSL champion with it. I do think we need to see the rest of these Protoss players enter that PvZ growth spurt.
I would love to see it, and it's such a fun style to cast. But we got another TBT on our hands, man. I'm excited to see this. Bunny versus ByuN.
Yeah, I want to see how ByuN performs here. I would say Bunny currently is a better player. You know, Bunny really has stuck with it and really sanded down the edges of his play and become a pretty phenomenal player. But ByuN, look, this guy's a superstar. He's a fan favorite. He's a former world champion. But he's had some ups and downs in the past.
Yeah, he's one of those players that he'll go through stretches where he struggles a little bit. And then, like, when he finds his mojo again, he's just, like, on top of the world. When ByuN plays at his peak, it's like no one can beat him. But, I mean, last year, he really struggled. I don't think he ever got past the top 16. And finally here, I think he got top 10 or something like that in the previous GSL. So he's starting to show a little bit of a return to form. But usually he struggles against Bunny and TBT. So hopefully he's got some tricks up his sleeve that we'll be able to pull out in this best of 3.
Yeah, ByuN with that iconic micro style, taking a lot of fights. Sometimes fights maybe you shouldn't take, but he wins them anyway. Versus Bunny, who I think is just kind of 9s and 10s on all of his stats all around. A very top-tier player. Should be an interesting best of 3. And we're going to start this out on Berlingrad, guys. Let's go.
I came for war.
Team NV, Bunny. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
So, a couple things I want to point out here, and they may or may not be factors in this game. But ByuN has had problems with his hands and wrists in the past, which has interfered with his ability to practice, and it has interfered with his ability to play at this studio before. We've had to have games get paused. We do have a cap on, you know, how much a player can call timeouts, and it's basically like, I think, one for each game tops. See some bunny support in the audience here. And so I don't know if it's going to be an issue this time around here. Some ByuN hype here as well.
Welcome down to the studio.
But, you know, I just want to point out that there's a chance that we get into, like, game 2 or maybe late in game 1, and then, like, we see him pause and we have to go, you know, see how bad it is. You do get disqualified if you just can't play.
Yeah.
So
it's unfortunate.
Again, it may not be a factor here, but I've casted so many games in the last few years where this has pretty much happened every day that I'm just going to point it out. So when it does happen, you guys know what's going on. And then other than that, I mean, the play styles, you know, Bunny's always had, I think, a kind of improved approach to TVT. He's kind of taken a lot of traditional openings and then added his own little flair to it. ByuN really does kind of march to his own beat, but he does seem to be more of a chaotic player on the map.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he's just looking for fights. He's going to drop where he's going to drop, where I think Bunny is a little bit more methodical. Like, okay, at this supply, I move out, I'm going to hit here. We're going to look for this. I think ByuN is kind of, and I think that the way that Bunny plays is a little bit better, but ByuN does make it work. You know,
and he's one of the only people in the world that can make it work. I mean, he's one of the best controlling Terrans, if not the best. We see him take fights, as you said before we got into this match, that you typically wouldn't want a Terran player to take, and then somehow he finds a way to eke an advantage out of it in mind-boggling fashion. And yeah, Bunny. I mean, Bunny's been so consistent. He's usually, I don't know how often he's been close to being like the top in the world, but it feels like anytime he comes into a tournament, unless he's suffering some kind of wrist problem where he can't practice or he's having difficulty playing, it feels like he's just rock solid. Like, he will go top 8 quite reliably. Like, this guy is captain consistency, whereas ByuN, again, like, if he's feeling hot, he will obliterate you.
This is a really good setup here.
Oh, boy. Oh, the Widow Mine!
It didn't actually work. Oh, my God.
Oh, it's going to hit. No, it still didn't hit. I can't believe that. Oh, that could have been so good for ByuN, but
literally, you call him ByuN? It could. No, I was 100% sure that this setup was going to work, where the mine hits the targets, and then everything else is weakened. But the mine never got to fire, and Bunny is just sitting here without any control over at his natural base. Now he is going to be able to reclaim this, and maybe the mine goes off on the way out.
Maybe. That mine.
I guess you wanted to have the mine up, like a hex to the. Up and to the left,
maybe a little bit. I mean, like, it just didn't have enough time on any individual target. Like the Reaper and the Hellion, they move so fast, and
I feel it's like just a little bit under a second is how much time it needs to confirm its target.
That feels about right. Also, I want to say, like, only ByuN is going to do that and, like, see the line of, like, the Widow Mine. It's like, that's not going to hit me.
Yeah.
I'm too fast for this Widow Mine to trigger. And,
that's crazy to me. So, I mean, how behind is Bunny? I don't think it's that bad, actually.
It delayed a little bit of timing. I think he lost, I want to say, a couple of kind of low impact units, but you know, after everything's said and done, not too much of a difference, but that was a nice little cheeky move from ByuN, man. It's one of the reasons why I love to watch this guy play, is because he'll find himself in situations that typically Terran players don't find themselves in, and he will find a way to kind of, like, pull water from a stone, you know? And even going to try and pick up this Widow Mine, barely picking it off there, is Bunny's going to push him back there to the middle, and I guarantee I'm going to say ByuN again at least a couple times.
Oh, yeah, well, this is casting on hard mode with two IDs like this. They're both the same race. So, kind of crazy to see the game start out like that. We've got Stim on the way now for ByuN, and he is going to be searching for a fight. I think Stim already finished here for Bunny as well.
Does he have stim? I think he might not. He's going really
Oh no,
heavy
I'm sorry.
on-
I'm actually crazy, dude. I
Yeah.
like swapped where I thought I like did ByuN Bunny swap, but just in my brain, not with the color or with the wording here. So Stim's going to finish, and ByuN's going to have a big drop up here. He's trying to draw some attention outside of his base. No Widow Mines here, just 2 Marines. Certainly not going to be enough.
I love that move by ByuN, trying to lure Bunny out a little bit onto the map with the other units. And Bunny is setting up right now. The drop is coming in. Keep in mind, ByuN does have stim. He's going to try and focus down that siege tank, and it will go down. But those auto turrets getting so much damage done on these Marines. The Viking cleaning up the medevacs, and that's about 20 supply going down there for ByuN. Is he going to get away? He barely gets away with his medevac. I mean, that helps a lot. 5 less supply going down is definitely beneficial there, because that drop just kind of got thwarted with kind of ease there by Bunny.
Well, you know, a drop like that can be a double-edged sword. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is you'll see these attacks, and like if it works, it works. But I do feel like this just kind of fed into Bunny now, and Bunny seems to be a little bit bigger after gobbling up that drop. And I mean, can ByuN actually hold this attack? We're gonna see. He's coming up. If he could actually target those tanks, that would be huge. But it looks like both tanks are gonna pretty much get away.
The air superiority for ByuN, for Bunny, oh god, for Bunny here is really nice. And actually, we're gonna have this fight. That's about as good as it can go for ByuN. But the siege tank sieging up. And I thought he might be able to get something to happen there with his stim, but instead, Bunny just inching his way forward. And this is what happens when you get air superiority like this. ByuN needs to use scans to get full use out of his tanks. He's gonna stem up, try and get these tanks. He might be able to get one. One does go down, and getting a little bit of damage right there. Really getting full utility out of these stim Marines. And again, I mean, ByuN, this is what he does. He takes fights that you might not expect to go his way, and he ekes everything he can out of every possible engagement, getting a lot of value there out of those Marines in a situation where his army was not as technologically superior to his opponent.
I mean, let's see where this goes exactly, because, you know, again, ByuN getting pretty fierce with these fights, but he's coming up here. I don't see any medevacs with this army for ByuN, by the way.
I think he has a couple, but
oh, I must have missed it then. But
he might have lost a few to the Vikings, and I mean, this is just what happens when you're going up against an opponent with air superiority. And another drop's going to be coming in here for ByuN behind the naturals. He looks to pressure the third.
Now 1-1's about to finish here. We got the tank sieging up in this corner, and you know, it's going to have to be pretty quick that Bunny's going to have to respond to fight back over here now.
Yep, this drop coming in here by ByuN, getting a lot of damage done. That's 9 SCPs going down and some favorable trades. 6 Marines getting out, so ByuN really not losing much there in that drop. I gotta say, after the failed double drop in the main base of Bunny, I was really worried about his position, but somehow he was able to find an engagement with Stim Marines there at the top side that really kind of swung the momentum back in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny game, right? ByuN is actually pulling ahead here. A lot of these attacks, I just look at it, I go, that can't possibly be the way to do this. He's like, even with the medevac full of half-health Marines, he hasn't even healed it. He's moving so fast. But it does seem like the map has kind of gone right now to ByuN. He's able to roam a little bit more freely. But Bunny is going to keep up with expansions here. He's going to land his own CC or build one over here in a second. Meanwhile, you know, ByuN continuing to kind of stay about 10 supply ahead here. And, you know, some of that's in workers, some of that is in army here.
Oh my god, ByuN coming in for a huge engagement right now. Stim Marines just diving this position. Oh my god, he just breaks down the first siege tank, continuing to push forward. He sets up a fantastic defensive spot here with 5 siege tanks. He's going to force the lift off. ByuN just with an absolute killer instinct scans and dives on this army and takes this position, and that is so critical.
This is kind of crazy. This army's going to go around now. I wasn't expecting. Okay, he's going to try to come up from above here. Kind of a funny position for some of these Marines to be in. But he is going to take these tanks out. Now, any lost mining time here at this command center is huge. So again, you got to remember, it's not just about killing it. I mean, you're mining, he's not. And that can, you know, be a couple, you know, more inches closer to the finish line here in the mirror matchup race. And another attack's going to be out here. Now, Bunny's going to try to preempt this and basically surprise ByuN on the map.
Liberator's going to finally be able to clean this up over here at the third base of Bunny.
Yeah, thought for a second he could actually get away from that.
Very valiant Marines.
Yeah, those are some noble Marines trying to take that out. So he reclaims the third, the third. But one thing about what ByuN's doing, and you got to be careful and watch for this, is it can look like he's winning, and then you go back and you're like, oh, Bunny has way more tanks and enough Marines, and he's just going to have a very basic counter push and win. Here comes a big drop. Marines ready. Good parry there.
Yeah, Bunny just really playing an immaculate defense right now. He lost a lot of momentum after that first fight there in the middle, and he's just been kind of defending in his base, just playing the slow, conservative game that you said really befits his style. And Bunny, trying to be an agent of chaos, was able to get some damage done there at the third base, but you're absolutely right. He lost 5 siege tanks. Bunny now continuing to build on his air superiority, even has some liberators out, and the supply advantage is in ByuN's favor. He does have a bit of an eco lead as well, but I'm worried about how nuanced army the army for ByuN is, and if for Bunny, excuse me, and if ByuN's not able to catch him unawares, we have another skirmish here on the top side. ByuN might be able to siege this position again.
Yeah, this is not looking easy for ByuN. He is going to commit. That is a planetary, so keep in mind it's going to be a lot harder to just try to stim and come in, but he does it anyways. And dude, Bunny's screen was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's lost all of his tanks. Oh, this could be really the tipping point here.
ByuN has some insane killer instinct, man. The way he dives on units like this is just absolutely unbelievable, and he did lose enough of those Marines that Bunny's going to be able to come in here and clean up some of the tanks, but reinforcements coming from the side there by ByuN. He does not want to give this position up, and now suddenly a 30 supply lead for ByuN as Bunny just, with a lapse of concentration there, not paying attention to his army, not expecting ByuN to dive on the siege tanks and take down that defensive position. And ByuN, he's doing it again. He's coming around on this side. He's going to get 2 more tanks, and Bunny just getting caught with his pants down right now as ByuN is everywhere.
Yeah, ByuN is like killing off every important, sophisticated unit in the game, and I think we are at the end right now. I mean, ByuN just a little bit faster, and Bunny can't quite keep up. And at this point in time, I don't know if there's going to be any way for that's going to be a GG. ByuN wins game 1, looking so strong, so fast, so kind of in tune with the game and in tune with what Bunny's going to do. I do think that game could have gone on for longer, but when we saw the Stim Marines run right up and shoot down the 3 tanks, and then Bunny try to punch back, but already reinforcements were there to clean up Bunny's attempted attack back, siege up. That was it. So ByuN looking bigger, faster, stronger, and kind of a plot twist for today's games.
Yeah, Bunny is usually the one that has the edge of these TBTs here against ByuN, but ByuN, just like you said, he's playing faster right now. I was so impressed by the dives with the Marines, because if those fights go poorly for him, if he's not able to make those trades happen effectively, it's such a crushing loss. And ByuN, like, he's the kind of player with a killer instinct. He's going to take that risk to secure that win, and he uses a much less nuanced army, a much more simple army of mostly just Marines and tanks, and he crushes it out. And we're going to go to set 2 on Hardwire. ByuN up 1-0 against Bunny.
Came for war.
Team NV, Bunny. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
It's a gas first build here, I think, for Bunny. Oh, it's for Bunny, okay. I was wondering who the blue player was for a moment. Had to wait for the
overlay to come up there.
And we'll see if there's a little bit of a divergence in build orders. Now, Terran builds are not one that I'm particularly familiar with. I mean, as a Protoss player myself.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go for 2 gases here,
I
mean, that can be pretty interesting. It certainly means you need to try to get something done right away.
Interesting openings here for both players. I mean, Bunny going for the gas first is going to have a later barracks, but little bit faster on the gas ramp up, whereas ByuN is going for the 2 gas opening. We'll see where this is going to take both of these guys. As Standard just opening up with the Reapers right now, but I gotta say, game number 1, the way that ByuN played that is so fun to watch.
It kind of played into what we were saying too, and that doesn't always happen as a caster, right? Where I'm like, well, sometimes this guy, he just attacks it, it doesn't make sense, but it works. But then we see him doing it there. I mean, a lot of moves where I think a more conservative player would look at that and be like, well, let's just try to find a safer moment. If you want to have an experience of how fast StarCraft 2 is, and it is the fastest RTS. I mean, the game just kind of moves at a rate that is very punishing, to be frank, if you miss something for even a split second. But watching a TVT where one side is just a little bit more ready than the other for a fight, and it can be the difference of you losing now 40 supply when it could have gone either way. It's pretty wild. ByuN coming in here and really doing a lot of damage really quickly. And it looks like he wants to do something like that now. Now, again, we should note, ByuN just now has his command center starting, whereas Bunny has his finishing. Bunny really investing into mid-game, where ByuN wanted to try to get something done early on, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that much so far.
Yeah, we'll see exactly where this build is going to go, as he does have 2 Reapers coming into the main base right now. Those Hellions just not ready to pop, and he will be able to push this Reaper back and bully these SCVs away. He's going to get 1 pick off for his trouble, might get 2, maybe even 3, as one is low over here in the mineral line. And I mean, this kind of pays for having that later command center as things equalize a little bit. Even getting a 4th right there. I mean, he's so good at eking out every little last drop of value from all of his units, and he's got a little bit of a tech advantage now as he does have that later command center going into Cyclones and a starport. We'll see exactly where that takes him, but man, like I hate to keep harping on the previous game, but it's so impressive to me.
It's pretty crazy,
to
dude.
see a player like ByuN there were 3 instances in that game where he just absolutely went for it in fights that looking at it, we have the God's view. We can see everything on the map.
We have to be omnipotent in the game, and
we don't know. It looks like it can go either way, and ByuN's just like, no, I'm going to take this bet that I can win this fight, and if I do, I'm going to win this game. And
it's funny too, because ByuN really is pretty hot or cold historically. Like, there's a lot of moments where he does that, and he just everything dies out, and he'll tap out GG a little bit later. But we were talking before the show, and it does seem like ByuN is in great condition. Now, we're about to get to a very important moment here as we have a drop moving out. I think it's going back.
I think it might be going back. It's actually a Cyclone in that medevac, which is not really what you expect to see. I'm not sure what the end goal is there. And in the meantime, Bunny with a lot of Hellions and some and 1 Reaper is going to be trying to make something happen. Even has a Marauder with Concussive Shell.
Oh, that's funny. Whoa. Now,
what a sick build.
Yeah, because you can catch the fleeing unit, and then the Hellions get to kill it off. Oh, he doesn't get the wall at the time.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no.
Everything is falling apart here for ByuN. This is an insane build right here for Bunny. I mean, this Concussive Shell Marauder adding so much value. The Cyclones, they cannot get away. The Marauder not only does it do bonus damage, but it also slows it down. There's no defense there, no response at all.
Dude, that was a cool build.
What a cool build! I've actually never seen that.
The Marauder came out.
Dude.
And that was Bunny in the Marauder suit. He was there, dude.
Oh, that was awesome. What a creative build. I mean, TVT's
I've never seen that.
TVT's a matchup that I really don't get to watch anymore, but that was one of the most fun builds I think I've ever seen. I mean, that game was over in an instant. Like, you snap your fingers and it's done. And
So the idea basically is that the Hellions are faster than most of the other units in the game, but the Marauder makes the other unit, whatever's being hit, it just now does not get away. And I've never seen that exact opening, but I like it.
Yeah, that was sick.
I don't think you can do that more than once, but one thing about the medevac, you can't tell what's inside until it drops something out. So you may think it's going to elevator Hellions up there, or, and then the Marauder comes out. I don't know. No more time, guys. 2,000 atmospheres. We're already in game 3. Who's going to take it, ByuN or Bunny? Let's find out. Oh boy, we're skipping intros here. ByuN, going to throw a barracks down. And do we have a... Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a second SCV.
Yeah, we got 2 SCVs.
I almost didn't see it on our mini-map. So it's going to be double racks. Now,
this is going to be one fast TBT series for a 3-game one,
I
man.
know, right? I feel like this... haven't been into this best of 3 for that long. Things are moving pretty quickly here. 2 barracks come down.
It's a 2-gas opening for Bunny as well.
Now, yeah, it's important to watch what exactly Bunny's going to do because, you know, a rush like this from ByuN, a lot of it's hinged on Bunny. If you're going to put it on a spectrum, playing very middle of the road to super greedy. Now, Bunny is not checking his peripherals for that. So he's not going to have any confirmation this is coming until he gets into the main. By the way, that doesn't mean that Bunny's playing wrong. It's just sort of how you're going to try to open up and deal with all of the possibilities that there are in a StarCraft 2 game.
So ByuN's even going up to 2 gas, so we're going to see a lot of Reapers coming out from this proxy.
Yeah, and this is kind of ByuN doing the classic, you know, ByuN win if it does work out here, which is going to be to snowball this with Reapers. And this is usually decided within like 45 seconds. Basically, the Reapers start to kill things off. You can't catch up. You can use the grenades to you know, slow them down. But I see a bunker coming up here.
Yeah, Bunny's response has been pretty spot on so far, and I'm not sure exactly where the jump up position is there for ByuN coming into the main base, but I'm starting to think based on Bunny's defense that he will be well prepared for it. I mean, he does have that bunker right there on the front. He's going to go back into Marine production, which they do have reasonably high DPS, even though Reapers can absolutely shred them. It doesn't matter if they're in a bunker. And
yeah.
But he's going to poke up, take a bit of damage.
The Reapers just can't fight a bunker. Like, it's one of the... The old Reaper in the early days could actually, you know, combat buildings reasonably well.
I
Remember
forgot
that?
about that.
Yeah.
They like threw the little
They threw the little bombs
shell
at the building, but they basically removed that a long time ago because it was actually ridiculous how good it was. So,
oh wow, Bunny actually setting a bunker in the main base of ByuN right now, and this Reaper's coming back, and of course ByuN to send one of his Reapers back home as well, and one has to be going down.
Oh my God, I can't believe he did that. That's so funny. You even have like the tempo advantage by having the SCV chase it.
ByuN's micro, man. He doesn't lose these.
He kind of knew how the AI works with both of those Reapers at that moment. But honestly, I'm really liking this for Bunny. I mean, I feel like Bunny has basically deflected this. These Reapers, they're stuck on the outside now. And, you know, the Reaper really loses value as the game goes on in a way that is different from almost any other unit in the game.
Yeah, ByuN really getting no damage done there. In fact, Bunny actually got more done with that one Reaper than ByuN did with any of his. And but player's going to expand now, but ByuN, once again, he's on the map. He's near the natural expansion of Bunny, and he's got nothing at home. These 2 Hellions coming in are going to pick off 2 more SCVs.
Yeah, the Hellions are going to come in here now and just get these SCVs. It's going to be a problem here. Again, these Reapers not able to be where they need to be. And I don't know, man. I mean, normally I don't, you know, call it when 2 Hellions get into a base, but I mean, this is a lot of damage early on. And, you know, when you lose this many SCVs at the start of a game, it makes the recovery a lot harder.
Yeah, this is starting to look like a 2-1 for Bunny right now.
Yeah.
I mean, his defense was just immaculate. There's really not a lot of options unless Bunny didn't even go. If Bunny didn't go for an SCV scout, was caught completely unaware, maybe this works, but the defense was immaculate. They're at home. The Reaper got an SCV, and then the 2 Hellion follow-up got a lot more. And ByuN, I mean, he doesn't want to go to the losers match. He wants to try and play this out as best he can, but 17 workers to 28 and with a later command center. I mean, ByuN is only halfway done right now. He needs a miracle.
Yeah, man. I mean, Bunny is comfortable right now. You know, anybody who's played enough StarCraft, you're in a position like this and you've already beat them up. They're on 2 bases. The proxy didn't work. You know, you've killed workers and you've scouted them, and your tech is basically ahead. You're making your second rave. I mean, this is just like, it's so bad, dude. You know, we don't even have any workers mining from this second command center yet because it's not done for ByuN. I mean, that's how bad things are.
Yep, it's still under production. I mean, even in terms of unit counts, the only real, the asymmetry right now is, so both players have 2 Cyclones, and ByuN has a handful of Reapers, but Bunny's got siege tanks, he's got a Raven already, He's got a lot of Marines, and this push is going to come in here, but I mean, there's no way you take this trade favorably. That's another Cyclone going down, and I think ByuN right now, it's starting to set in exactly how far behind he is, because there really is no advantage. Even getting caught unaware once again, another Cyclone falling. These Reapers might be able to get one more done, but I mean, that's a lot of Marines right there for that Liberator.
Yeah, you know, what you're seeing here is ByuN kind of, tragically lose the way that only ByuN could, which is it just keeps aggressing in these positions where it's like you're sticking your hand in the lion's cage.
Yeah.
At this point in time, like this isn't going to work out. And I'll tell you, man, after seeing how well ByuN played in I think a game where he was allowed to develop, it's kind of sad to see him lose in a game where he decided to be super aggressive and ended before it even started. You know, and maybe a little bit greedy from him. And so ByuN, you know, he's not eliminated. He's going to be in the losers match against Zest, but this means that we're going to have Bunny versus Sue coming up next.
That's going to be an interesting match. Can't wait to get to it. I mean, Bunny, he played really solid right there in that best of 3. Game 1 was a little bit shaky, but
I think this is going to be the best match of the night, honestly. Sue and Bunny. Bunny in great shape. Sue, he's back. He never looks like he went away. Guys, we're going to have a break. We come back. The winner's match of Group B.
I'll be coming up hot for a minute.
우리가 기다릴 사이도 저 의미야
이런 게 이 시대의 사이다.
질성사이다 플러스.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼 홀릭, 점심엔 라떼 홀릭, 저녁엔 라떼 홀릭, 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀릭. I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody let it drop when I'm in it. Everybody let it drop when I'm in it. I've been coming up hot for a minute.
저 의미야호 우리가 기다린 사이다. 저 의미야호 부담 없이 즐기는 사이다. 식이섬유 함유
이런 게 이 시대의 사이다.
질성사이다 플러스.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼 홀릭, 점심엔 라떼 홀릭, 저녁엔 라떼 홀릭, 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀릭.
형님들 아프리카에 승부 예측 생긴 거 아세요, 여러분들?
아니 e스포츠 여기 탭에 있잖아요, 여러분들. 아니 이게 새로 생겼더라.
저는 광동에 올인했어요.
아 진짜요?
네.
아 그럼 전 DRX에 올인.
모바일도 똑같이 아래 가운데 보면 e스포츠 있어요. 잼이라는 포인트가 있어요.
아프리카 내에서 쓸 수 있는 재화라고 생각하시면 돼요.
잼을 사은품으로 교환 가능하다고요?
이 잼으로 응모를 다 할 수 있어.
키보드는 벌써 나갔네.
아이폰 갤럭시 탭. 아 이게 200잼이야?
교환까지 할 수 있으니까 형님들 아프리카 승부 예측 많이 많이 사랑 부탁드립니다. 박수 부탁드립니다.
개인적으로 기대를 좀 많이 했는데 우리의 부상을 당해가지고 경기력을 잘 못 보여준 것 같아가지고 너무 슬펐어요. 장점도 너무 많죠. 기본기도 좋고 컨트롤도 괜찮고 심리전도 괜찮고.
현우 형은 경기가 다 똑같아가지고 안 봤어요. 아니 현우 형은 좀 만족하고 있는 것 같더라고요. 오랜만에 뭐 10강도 가고 그런 것 같은데 현우 형이 좀 많이 죽었더라고요. 선수는 뭐 이젠 라이벌 같지도 않아요. 예전에 리즈컨 결승에서 졌던 게 아직도 기억이 나가지고 그 기억밖에 안 나요.
군대 갈 때가 된 것 같은데 왜 안 왔지? 항상 뭐 옛날부터 좀 약간 혼자 삭히는 성격이어가지고 혼자 집에서 많이 열받아 하지 않았을거든요. 그 선수는 플레이 스타일 자체가 좀 저랑 다르게 공격적이면서 좀 묵직한 스타일이어가지고.
선수는 들었는데 나는 왜 못 들을까? 저한테 우승을 준 선수? 예선 뚫은 것도 좀 운이 좋았다고 생각해서 바로 떨어질 것 같습니다.
저를 떨어뜨린 동원이 형 복수 한번 해야 될 것 같고, 그래도 윤수가 아직 시간이 좀 더 걸리지 않을까 생각해요.
현우 형이랑 병재 형이랑 황교석 선수 맛있어 보이는 선수가 좀 있는 것 같아가지고.
옛날에는 다 친한 선수들이 많아가지고 막 이렇게 뱉어도 됐는데 지금은 오랜만에 보니까 낯설어가지고.
그러니까 차라리 그냥 내가 저도 그렇게 이상하지 않은 뭐 이병렬이나 주성우, 김준호 이런 선수랑 하는 게 좀 나은 것 같아요.
청주랑 제가 준호가 좀 잘하는 것 같아요.
준호 형이 요즘 너무 싫더라고요. 청주는 무조건 좀 피하고 싶고 병렬이 형 피하고 그러면 괜찮을 것 같아요. 게임 또 짜증나게도 못하면은 그냥 사실 기분 좋은데 잘하니까 그런 것 같아요.
동원이 형이 봤을 때 그 동원이 형의 조롱이 너무 싫어요 제가.
안녕하세요. 전패에도 만족. 저 표정을 찍어주세요.
그 10강 끝나고 일부러 못 오게 표정 되게 안 좋게 있었는데 그걸 꼭 와가지고
승현이 뭘 하자 하면은 반항하지 않고 잘 따를 것 같아서.
준호 형이랑 여행을 되게 자주 갔었는데 항상 재밌더라고요. 또 준호 형이랑 또 다시 가고 싶어요.
마루랑 할게요. 마루랑 저랑 성격이 비슷해요. 그래서 둘이 호텔에만 있을 것 같아가지고.
작년이 대여비가 제일, 여행은 원래 좀 편한 사람이랑 가야 되기 때문에.
김동완. 말이 너무 많고 여행 가면 막 다 시킬 것 같고 끌려다닐 것 같아요.
네, 유진이 형. 네, 아까 좀 유진이 형 좀 게으르고 해가지고 뒤치다거리 할 것 같아가지고 그렇네.
여행 가면은 둘만 많은 그런 사람들이랑 가기 싫거든요. 뭐 현역으로 뽑자면 이제 성주 같은 애들이고 이제 좀 은퇴한 사람들 중에 뽑자면 백동준 같은 스타일?
태양이 같은데 뭔가 잃어버릴 것 같고 그래가지고 뭐가 어떻게 나올지 모르겠는데 최대한 편하게 하고 가려고요 이제.
꿈꿔왔던 GSL 우승을 하기 위해 열심히 연습해서 올라가도록 하겠습니다.
후회 없이 좀 최선을 다해가지고 좀 즐기고 싶고 목표는 한번 좀 우승도 해보고 싶어요.
꼭 사강 가가지고 시드를 받고 다음에서 좀 피하고 싶어요.
Today's matchup. Zest. Sue. Bunny. ByuN. Round of 20. Group B. Africa TV. Freak Up Studio. Live. 2022 GSL Season 2.
Thanks for waiting, everybody. We're back, and it's time to get a winner for Group B. So ByuN did not manage to survive against Bunny. I think Bunny played even though he lost that first game, I think Bunny did play better overall.
Nice.
Rolled with the punches a little bit better.
Slow, methodical. It was really safe play.
Kind of the guy that's more prepared. You know, it paid off. I think ByuN, excuse me, kind of shot himself in the foot there. So we're going to have Bunny versus Sue for the winner's match, and then to decide who's going to be eliminated first, it's going to be Zest versus ByuN.
Yeah, we got a lot of really good matches ahead of us. Bunny versus Sue, though, I'm wondering, because Sue, he's kind of getting back into the swing of things, but he did look very strong in that first series against Zest, who's one of the top Protoss players in Korea. Who are you thinking might take this one?
Well, I can't tell, and here's why, is that what Zest did is sort of the, play style of the last 2 years that hasn't really succeeded that well. I mean, we know Protosses don't do that well in GSL in general, but you kind of look at that play style and you go, yeah, that's sort of why. So I don't think it was the biggest challenge for Sue to win. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Where Bunny does look very modern, very good. And so I feel like this is going to be where we're really going to get a taste of where Sue is at and how he can handle it. I think Bunny is probably the favorite for this group. I thought that before we came in, and I think it's fair to say now.
Gotta agree with you. I mean, his TVT's on point. I feel like he can hold his own against Zest easily if he has to play Zest later. And Sue right now really has a lot to prove. He's coming back into the scene after a little bit of a hiatus.
But at the same time, you know, Sue's one of these guys where he just sort of always seems to be one of the best, no matter what.
He's so talented. He's so skillful. And you know he's practicing out of his mind for this GSL.
Well, his military service is done. You know, now the future is his. Anyways, guys, we're going to go to Nautilus 2 for Bunny versus Sue in the winner's match of the GSL.
I came for war.
Team NV. Bunny. Guangdong Freaks, Sue.
Okay, so this is going to be, excuse me, on our 4-player map here. So, you know, we've got a lot more variables that we got to, you know, factor in here. But we both know the spawns here. They're both at the top. And this could be a little bit of a strain for the Zerg in these spots. I mean, that being said, it is a huge map, but you're kind of trying to work out these quadrants that the map can be cut up into. The King is back. Oh, he brought his Sue shirt. Nice.
That's a nice shirt, man. I want to get my hands on some of that swag.
Excellent Carbot drawing there for Bunny as well. You know, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, you know, with the 4-player map, this is not bad for Terran. It doesn't mean there's not stuff that Zerg can do, but we do want to watch if we can do a long game. It's going to be like the Terran probably leaning onto the Zerg. And the Zerg, Normally on one-on-one maps, you're in diagonal spawns. And there are some exceptions, of course. But then you get the Zerg sprinting creep in like 2 different directions and the Terran trying to juggle that. Here, it's like you're just both at the top.
Yeah, there's only really 2 lanes directly to your opponent's main base, which is that top one.
And so Zerg is obviously going to expand in that quadrant and then go down, but really a lot of games are decided with whether or not the Terran can push up towards the top right, for these spawns at least.
Yeah, and if you recall the game that we saw, I think, between Rogue and Gumiho here on Nautilus 2 in the first day of GSL, the game plan there was pretty much to contain the Zerg on as few bases as possible, because if you look at the way that it is on the map, Su right now, he has the potential to go up to 4 bases later into the game, assuming nothing crazy happens, in kind of a safe fashion. He's got that 3rd right there by the natural, and then on the low ground, he's got a 4th base that can take. But after that, it becomes a little bit difficult. The base at the top is too close to Bunny. The base at the bottom, yes, it's away from your opponent, but if Bunny's able to secure the middle of the map, as we saw Gumiho do against Rogue, it can become very problematic. So there's the potential for Bunny not to even go for a killing blow here, but to go for kind of a soft contain.
Sure.
Where Su eventually bleeds out, and Bunny is just able to overwhelm him as the resources start to dry up.
Yeah, you could just basically starve them out on that corner of the map. I mean, Zerg is a strong race, but it's undeniable that they need to have growth that's basically at a rate that's higher in order to even be functionally even, with a Terran or a Protoss. So that is absolutely one way to play it, especially on maps like this. And this is kind of the 4-player map, I don't want to say conundrum because it's like not a term that we all use, but like this is a thing that can happen on 4-player maps. I think more so in StarCraft 2 even than StarCraft 1, where like because of the speed at which the game moves, both sharing the top versus one person at the top left, the other at the bottom right, as an example, it really makes an insane difference.
It does change the flow of the game a lot, and it makes 4-player maps really vary a lot from game to game, just based on the positions, which is, again, something that we really don't see that much in competitive StarCraft 2 these days. We had it a lot in the olden days.
Oh, for sure. Metalopolis and stuff like that.
God.
But, the truth is, I do think that 4-player maps, they do add an interesting kind of variety to games, right? There's a different flavor that you get out of that. But, by the way, we're going to have these Hellions almost come up towards the natural. I thought they were going to dive in for a second.
Maybe saw the creep spread really far down to the south and figured that it's too much reaction time for Su to be able to get any kind of damage done. And
Su's going to be ready.
Yeah, Cloak Banshee's now coming out as Bunny's working his way towards 3 barracks, and we'll see if he's able to find any damage with the Cloak Banshees and the Hellions in tandem. In the meantime, Su is going for quite a rapid spire here, so it looks like he wants to try and shut this kind of play down early.
And he might have wanted to go, oh, hold on.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what? He just like takes one drone, he's like, I'll cut my losses.
Well, it's dangerous. He's right there in the middle of the creep.
For sure, yeah. So what I was going to say is like the tech selection here from Su, this may be because of their proximity. You basically go Ling, Bane, Muta, and you try to just win the fights. If you win in the mid game, as in you do not, they can't contain you, they can't push you, the bottom right side of the map is yours. You get all the gold, all the fruit in the bottom right side of the map, and from there the Terran probably just loses in the late game.
I gotta say, this Banshee got so much work done.
Yeah.
I mean, it is gonna fall, but mutas are already coming out. The Banshee's utility is pretty much gone at this point, and in 8 drones, I'm pretty sure that includes the kill by the Hellion as well, but you absolutely take that as the Terran player. That's more than you're bargaining for with that Banshee opening.
So, we're getting the muted tech out now. +1 air weapons as well is going to come into play here. Terran secures the 3rd base, and we're basically waiting for this push to come. We know it's going to happen. It wouldn't make sense to do it on 2 bases. I think 3 bases is a healthy amount. Try to fight a Zerg on 3 to 4 bases. Su has time now to send the Mutalisks out here. I don't know if there's turrets up here, are there?
There's like 5 or 6 turrets. He actually made a ton of them.
Oh, yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if there's going to be one of the natural, but just anything you can do to force any defensive play out here. And shortly, we're going to have... I don't know the story with those guys. Shortly here, we're going to have more... 4th base, excuse me, come down here for Su.
just popped down there on the right side, and these mutas not really able to find much damage as the muta count continues to grow here. 2 more in production now for Suez. He's also going to be starting his double evolution chamber, but gotta say, the double evo, it is a little bit late because Su did choose to go for these mutas so quickly. In fact, it's going to be finishing right about the same time that 1-1 is finishing for Bunny, so Bunny has the potential to have some really nice timing windows later in the game if he decides to go for a 2-2 push. Then the best that Su could possibly hope for is to have 1-1. And Bunny actually going to be moving out early now, so 1-1 versus 0-0 is going to be the play in the cards. He's going to try and control the creep spread just a little bit and take a foothold here on the map.
Yeah, looks like he won't have time to open up those rocks. And this is going to be Bunny's chance to try to crush Su. This is really the climax of the game right now, as everything is sort of hinged on the Terran trying to come in here and crush through the Zerg.
I gotta say, Su really doesn't have a lot of units on the ground, and he's continuing to build Mutalisks, but his Baneling count right now, it's very low. The Ling count, it's not very impressive. 1-1 upgrades are maybe a minute out.
These Hellbats here, I feel like, you know, Bunny's identified exactly the only way that Su can stop this. The question is it going to work for Bunny? His tanks are on siege. He's going to actually do a big leap up and siege up. I think he's barely in range of that hatchery. Okay.
Just barely out of it.
Yeah.
But this is a fantastic position to start posturing from right now, as Su's going to try and pick away from these really nice connections there in the Hellbats. That's going to help his Lings out a lot, but these are many, many upgraded Marines. And this force from Bunny looks like it's going to be hard to deal with. Here we go, Su's coming in right now, the Lings and Banes, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. All the Banes just get evaporated immediately by the siege tanks, and Bunny with full confidence pushing forward with these upgraded Marines.
Dude, this
Su has nothing.
A masterclass in TVZ on Nautilus here. Just needs to avoid some of those Bane hits. That actually could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, those hits were fantastic there by
Yeah.
Su, pushing the momentum a little bit back, but again, the force is continuing to rally in here for Bunny. I'm not sure if Su's going to be able to stabilize here unless he gets some more great connections.
Yeah, the Mutas are going to come up here, so are the Queens. And I think actually just barely, Bunny's going to still manage to push through here.
I don't know, that Baneling push coming in from the top actually took a lot of the oomph out of this push. It was looking there like Su might just be able to tap out.
Dude,
but
I can't believe it. I think that Bunny was literally about to win that, overextended, did not respect the threat the Banelings had, couldn't split his Marines, couldn't fork them out in the right direction. And here we are.
You broke that down perfectly, and that 1-1 window is closed now. Upgrades are even, so it's a big advantage. It's going to be kind of put on the wayside now until 2-2 finishes here for the Terran. And like you said, I really feel like Bunny had an opportunity just to close that game out. I mean, the start of that engagement couldn't have gone better. The Marine count was insanely high. But just like you said, he overextended, the Banelings came in, and Su, to his credit, got some fantastic connections.
Now, Su's not out of the woods yet. The Terran's going to expand uncomfortably close to the third base of the Zerg here. But, you know, all those Hellbats are gone. Let's keep that in mind as we go forward here. The Hellbats were kind of the handy unit to mute the Zerglings and soak for the Banes.
The siege tanks are mostly gone as well. He was not continuing to build them. Instead, he opted for the Thor, and now he's only down to 1 tank. So it's going to be mostly Bio here as we see some Marauders starting to mix in.
He's switching to Widow Mines, kind of the alternative splash damage unit. And he's going to set up a very conservative position on the low ground here and try to basically fish the army towards the siege tank, Thor, whatever else who's going to fire at that range, and then punish there. And I mean, again, this is kind of scary here. I mean, Terran with far superior supply right now, and I'd say a much better position is really starting to strain Su.
There's a lot of Banelings out there for Su, though. If he's able to get some connections, he might be able to make something work. But I mean, the spread by Bunny here on the low ground is absolutely beautiful. Like, how do you break that with the composition of Su right now? I don't see any way.
Yeah, he just needs to get a little bit more splash damage onto the high ground here, scooping up anything that gets too close. And again, the Thor is a real threat to these mutas. Every time these mutas get shot, they're really starting to hurt.
All right, Zerglings coming in now, but some really nice connections there. The Thor takes a lot of the damage from the Banelings, but eats it up like nothing. And the army supply is almost doubled now for Bunny, as Su was able to buy some time there with that defense earlier, but now it's looking like too little too late, and that's going to be it. Bunny wins map number 1 here in our winners match, going up 1-0 against Su.
Dude, he squished him like a bug. You could even see Bunny shaking his head, probably going back to that moment when we first thought he was going to win the game. And, you know, it's easy for anybody to think, okay, you know, when do I actually shove? And sometimes that's, you know, the moment where you're like, all right, now I'm going to snap kill him. He actually overextended there, and then Su clawed his way back into the game. And it was close for a little bit again, but anyways, I think Bunny clearly a stronger player. But look, that was Nautilus too. Those positions are kind of tough for Zerg, and you know, we called it before we really got that far in the game. That's basically what Terran wants to do there. They want to play, you know, a push game, a control game, and you can see, you know, at the very end, the fourth base is next to the Zerg's third. The Terran's fourth base, I mean, is next to the Zerg's third. Pretty good for Terran. Berlingrad is where we're going to go for map 2. Again, the winner of this best of 3 moves on to the next round of the GSL.
Came for war.
Team NV, Bunny. Guangdong Freaks, Su.
I've got to say, after that first game against ByuN, Bunny's been looking really solid.
Yeah.
The
Well,
2-0 follow-up and then winning this first game against Su, it just feels like his kind of slow, methodical style. And then even that really aggressive push there in the previous game, he's just playing really well right now.
He looks better than everybody. I mean, just honestly. And I always appreciate this about Bunny because, I mean, obviously I've been casting GSL since the beginning, but Bunny was a player who was very much in the background compared to these other guys, overshadowed by a lot of Korean pros, a lot of Terran Korean pros even, and basically just kept showing up season after season, always with a better iteration of himself. And, you know, I think that really speaks to a lot of people who are still students of the game, right? I mean, you know, it's, look, the whole era of Nesty and MVP and these people that, you know, had breakout performances early on, that's cool, that's exciting. And look, somebody has to do it when a game comes out, right? But the people that can stick with the game when, honestly, it's a lot more competitive, the game is a lot more solved, and so you have to really do a lot more homework to ever compete. You know, when you have a game as seasoned as this one, to see Bunny really apply himself through, you know, that decade plus, and then, you know, outshine a lineup of like, literally, look at this. This is Su, ByuN, and Zest. We're talking world champions, GSL champions, and then Su has gotten more second places than anybody here. I mean, it's crazy. And then here it's actually Bunny who is the strongest in the group. But it goes to show you that, like, people excel at things at different times. Some people are late bloomers, and Bunny's one, but, you know, Bunny's reaping the success of that now.
Yeah, you know that he's put in, and this is probably no exaggeration, tens of thousands of hours of trying to become the player that he is today. It takes so much work to grind like that, from being basically one of the kind of bottom rung rookie Terrans into developing to the player that he is today. I mean, he's one of the most consistent Terran players in GSL for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
He might not be winning championships, but this is a guy that you could pretty much consistently rely on to reach like the top 8, or now in the new format, the top 10.
Sure.
And have a really respectable showing. So,
and you know, I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Creator, who we had in the finals last year, where it's like Creator was, I think, always performing worse than Bunny, we should say, with the exception of the first year or two of GSL. But yeah, I mean, to see Bunny just always looking better and better, it's really a thing to marvel at. So, you know, in this game, we don't see anything too surprising. Zerg's continuing to develop up. We do have a Viking as part of the tech here for Terran, so he's going to use that to try to clean out Overlords. But, you know, it's your standard couple of Hellions to come out here and spot and look for creep, and behind that it's Stim, and, you know, it's going to be a little bit before this game really picks up.
Yeah, it's about as standard as it gets. No 4-6 Hellion run-bys, no Marauders and Medevacs as we saw in that TVP. No cloak banshees, nothing crazy going on as Bunny's just going to try and poke and prod a little bit. Does get a creep tumor for his trouble over there, just trading a little bit of health on the HPs for the Hellions to get that. And yeah, I see him powering up now with that's the 5th barracks coming in. So going to see some really heavy bio play, and I want to see exactly what the upgrade timings is for Bunny, because Bunny seems like the kind of player, especially like that in the previous game where he got the really fast 1-1 and he leveraged that advantage as best as he possibly could.
Oh yeah.
Like the entire time that he had an upgrade advantage, he was battling.
Yes, he was fighting, he was brawling. Now, look, this game, just judging from the way that they're both playing, like we see the Baneling's Nest coming down here now, the layers on the way, and then Terran is going for tanks and Marines. We could end up with a very similar looking game, but I think this is a little bit more of a fair fight.
Oh, for sure.
Compared to game 1, where, you know, generally the rule is Zerg in a perfect, if Zerg, how do I say this? It's always better for the Zerg to be further away, is simply put what I'm trying to say against the Terran, because all the Zerg wants to do is grow and get ahead enough that the other race can't catch up. And so a game like game 1, it's like you're literally stuck in the cage with the bear.
Especially on Nautilus in close air positions, because, we saw it. It's like a leap, skip, and a jump to get over to the Zerg space. And then
they're next door neighbors, like, and there's not a whole lot to traverse to get to each other. Where this map's actually a little bit different, in that it's like more, your kind of classic competitive map. Zerg has 2 fronts that they have to defend, but that's almost a little bit more of a burden on the Terran, because it's not hard to spread creep out, but it is hard to kind of break through creep and keep those positions as they are.
A little poke here by Bunny, trying to keep the creep spread under control, and that's a lot of queens. And I got to say, to Sue's credit, he's been really good about this creep spread so far. All these transfuse coming on. Not taking any queens out just yet, and we'll see if Bunny wants to kind of push this engagement a little bit, but that's a lot of Ling Baneling.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Bunny here. This doesn't look at all like it's going to be able to last here. There is some more reinforcements coming up. A lot more Banes are being made, though.
Baneling speed's about to finish as well with 8 more Banes in production.
I feel like we're seeing Bunny in the jaws of the beast here, and he doesn't even realize it.
I feel a lot better about him taking this position right here on this ramp, though. That's a really smart spot for him to be. It reduces the risk of a flank by a lot. You see now Sue trying to make that same flank setup on the low ground there to the right, but there's no creep spread, so it's not as quick. And Bunny now, considering the pressure, I'm surprised at the tenacity that he has with his push right here.
There's like more queens than Marines when he's fighting anyways. All right. Oh my god, an even on siege. Now hold on, is this going to work at all? The Banes are actually clustered very poorly. It seemed okay, that was just so weird.
Yeah.
It seemed like he had several hotkeys set up and he didn't input it right, is actually what that looked like.
It looked like he sent everything to attack at the same time, but because the units on the south weren't on creep, they just came so much later. It was like they were funneling in at different times. And Bunny with a beautiful spread.
He had him on different hotkeys to try to sync him and it didn't work. But
maybe. That was a bad trade there for Sue, though, overall. I mean, he has a lot of Banelings up still, but the creep spread right now is not very healthy, and without good creep spread, you can't really connect the Banes.
Keep in mind, you only need 1 good trade as Terran, or as Zerg here against the Terran. More tanks are coming up, and he's going to continue to try to fish out these Banes. The Banes narrowly avoiding the splash damage from the tanks. Only 3 medevacs here, so not a lot of sustain here. I'm sorry, 4 medevacs that all don't have energy. So I was right initially. Still not a lot of sustain here.
Yeah, 5th medevac coming in now to provide some extra healing, but yeah, these Marines are really low.
Yeah, you got to be careful overstimming because, eventually you're just running around with a bunch of red Marines that just get popped.
Oh boy.
Another flank is ready. Was Terran too busy trying to harass up here and not cleaning out the creep? At the bottom.
All right, here we go. Zergling coming in again. This is off creep though, but
really good spreading.
Yeah, good split there by Bunny, but Sue was able to take a lot of the bio out. Let's see if the Remax is going to be enough for him to be able to hold on. Bunny now taking this advantage to push with his Marines to pick off even more queens to get on the production of the 3rd hatch. That's a lot of larva that could pop, and now kiting back into the siege tanks. Fantastic control from Bunny right now as he's looking to push this lead.
This is kind of a crazy chase that's happening down here. He is going to save the Marines. Normally you want the Lings to dive onto the tanks if they can and let the Marines just run. But Sue kind of had it inverted there when he was chasing the Marines up and letting the siege tanks damage the Lings. I think we actually just saw the tipping point here. Usually when all the queens die, that's when you really don't have any way to also fight back with damage unless the Lings or Banes are touching. Dude, just savage shots from these tanks.
Yep, Bunny with some immaculate control, playing the map perfectly right now, and that's going to be it. Bunny's going to be the first player to advance from Group B in a really convincing fashion.
Bunster the Munster.
Is that what you call him?
Oh, that's what we all call him. That was a great performance by him. And, you know, really in a tug of war over there, actually overpowering Sue, that's saying a lot. Because Sue almost pretty much never dies, like in those games in the past. But Bunny did it. He is going to be advancing now to the next round of the GSL. Of course, Sue is not eliminated. He will now wait in the final match. Yeah, man. So cool to see Bunny, you know, continue to assert his dominance against such a storied group.
Yeah, that was Bunny
He defeats Sue, and he moves on to round of 10. Congratulations. Thank you. So last season you were eliminated in the round of 20, but this time you managed to move on to round of 10. How do you feel? Well, last season I thought my form was quite good, but at the time I hurt my hand and I was really frustrated at the time, so I'm really happy to have won today. Frustration, Bunny. So what about your hand now? Is it okay now? Yes, my hand is completely healed, and so I don't have any problem on a daily basis. Let's talk about the winner's game, winner's match. So you start off with the double barracks, and then you excluded the roach in your strategy. So it wasn't a build I prepared for beforehand. But while I was preparing today, I felt like my concentration level was not that good today. So I had a feeling if I go for macro-oriented play, I wouldn't be able to play well. So that's why I changed it in Improv 2 today. So a 2-0 victory over Sue. Bunny, so are you confident now? No, not that much confidence right now. I heard that the maps are going to change soon, so I really hope to see the change very soon. In second game, you went the all-in to defeat the opponent, and in the third game, you secure another victory to complete a reverse sweep. So did you anticipate this victory today, Bunny? When I was playing the games online recently, I did go for the first gas and then the barracks build. And then, you know, I had a feeling that proxy is gonna work well today. I heard that your online match yesterday, you lost it. Is that right, Bunny? I mean, yesterday I tried my hardest, but you know, TVT has been quite hard these days. So I did, my confidence did wane a bit after my loss yesterday. In first game, the Widow Mine didn't detonate in Berlingrad, and that must have been very disappointing for you. I mean, the position of the Widow Mine, I always planted in that position, and it sometimes detonates and it sometimes doesn't. It's pure chance. So, you know, when I go back home, I'm gonna have to experiment a bit with that Widow Mine. So last season we didn't have you in the round of 10, which was a full league system that has been incorporated very quite recently. You know, after my elimination, I really didn't want to watch GSL matches because I was so gutted. But it feels like after this change of the full league system, I feel like it's more entertaining to watch GSL. In the round of 10, ByuN, Gumio, Keen. You said they're all very easy praise, and they're all Terrans, so what was the reason behind that? Well, Terrans these days, it's been very hard for them, so other than TVT, every other race is hard to play against. You know, I have so much to talk about with the balance. But you know, since I won today, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
사실 요즘 김준호 선수가 좀 날아다녀요.
You know, these days, Hero has been playing really well.
때 결승까지 갔고 김준호 선수 날아다니시고 좀
So right now he's
프로토스
on a
선수들이,
roll,
좀
and
잘하시고
Protoss players in
계시는데
general have been performing really well. So what do you think about Hero as your opponent?
형이 오고 나서 그전에는 토스전이
Well, ever since Hero came back,
제가 잘하면 이길 수 있는
you know, a long time ago, Protoss wasn't that hard to deal with. But after his return, you know, Protoss started playing these picky builds that is really hard to cope against. And Creator suddenly changed his playstyle as well, and it's more solid now. So I think Creator and Hero are both tough opponents.
지난 시즌 아쉬운 만큼 이번 시즌
So last season was a bitter loss for you, Bunny. So anything you want to say before you go?
지난 시즌 너무 좀 너무 많이 속상하고
So last season, you know, was full of disappointment. But this season, I hope to make better performance compared to last season. Once again, congratulations on moving out as the first place. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. All right, well, Bunny moves on. Clearly the best player in the group, but now it's kind of weird because we have 3 players, I think, all of which are easily fan favorites, all of different races, and only one is going to survive.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to take it. Sue looked really solid in his first match there of the night, but then against, I mean, his ZVT maybe doesn't hold up to, I don't know the saying. There's a saying. There's some kind of saying.
Well,
I don't know.
I'm not going to help you at all. I'm like, no, go on, dude. What are you going to say? Like,
no, I feel like his ZVT, maybe he needs a little bit more practice. I mean, he's just trying to get back into the swing of things. And I feel like maybe if Zest is able to come out and win the elimination match, then Sue's chance of advancing is really high. But I'm not sure if he'll be able to beat ByuN. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Anyway, guys, we're going to be going to a break. When we get back, the elimination match. Stay tuned.
Destination, let's go where the river's taking us. Over fields and through the country, letting go of everything but us. Over the rainbow. If we hold tight, we can chase the Mississippi through the night, hundreds of miles away. Let's dip our toes right in and be reborn. I don't know why we wait. Grab sunglasses and the atlas. We can prove we're smarter than a phone. Let's go where there's no reception. See if we can make it on our own. Breathe deep in your chest. If we hold tight, we can chase the Mississippi through the night, hundreds of miles away. The water is warm. Let's dip our toes right in and be reborn. I don't know why we wait. The water's warm. Let's be reborn. The water's warm. Let's go where the river's taking us. Over fields and through the country, letting go of everything but us. If we hold tight, we can chase the Mississippi through the night, hundreds of miles away. water is warm. Let's dip our toes right in and be reborn. I don't know why we wait.
I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I've been coming up hot for a minute.
저 의미예요. 우리가 기다린 사이다. 저 의미예요. 부담 없이 즐기는 사이다. 식이섬유, 함유.
이런 게 이 시대의 사이다.
질성 사이다 플러스.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼, 홀리 점심엔 라떼, 홀리 저녁엔 라떼, 홀리 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀리.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀리. I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I've been coming up hot for a minute.
저 의미예요. 우리가 기다린 사이다. 저 의미예요. 부담 없이 즐기는 사이다. 식이섬유, 함유, 함유.
이런 게 이 시대의 사이다.
질성 사이다 플러스.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼, 홀리 점심엔 라떼, 홀리 저녁엔 라떼, 홀리 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀리.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀리.
형님들 아프리카에 승부 예측 생긴 거 아세요, 여러분들?
아니 e스포츠 여기 탭에 있잖아요, 여러분들. 아니 이게 새로 생겼더라.
저는 광동에 올인했어요.
아 진짜요? 아 그럼 전 DRX에 올인.
모바일도 똑같이 아래 가운데 보면 e스포츠 있어요. 잼이라는 포인트가 있어요.
아프리카 내에서 쓸 수 있는 재화라고 생각하시면 돼요.
잼을 사은품으로 교환 가능하다고요?
이 잼으로 응모를 다 할 수 있어.
키보드는 벌써 나갔네.
아이폰 갤럭시 탭. 아 이게 200잼이야?
교환까지 할 수 있으니까 형님들 아프리카 승부 예측 많이 많이 사랑 부탁드립니다. 받아오도록 하겠습니다.
Today's matchup: Zest, Sue, Bunny, ByuN. Round of 20, Group B. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2022 GSL Season 2.
It's time to eliminate somebody. It is going to come down to these two players, Zest and ByuN. The winner goes off to face off against Sue. And I don't really know what to expect with Zest and ByuN here. I do feel like they both have looked good. I think it could go either way, to be honest, the more I kind of reflect on it. What about you?
I've got to agree with you. I mean, Zest at times, when he's playing his game, he's one of the best PvT players in the world. His timing attacks are insane. He's got a really good grasp on this matchup, but at the same time, ByuN, I mean, I guess he's really the question mark for me. Like, he can be so hot, he can be so cold.
Yeah. You know, Zest is also a player who's kind of known for getting in there and doing a lot of damage right away. I mean, you basically have two real fighters coming into this. So that can also make for some strange-looking games as well.
Yeah, especially depending on the map spawn we get on Nautilus too, because if we get another close air spawn like that as opposed to cross spawns, things can get crazy really quick with these two guys.
Yeah, Nautilus, we won't know until it loads up, basically. But the good news is it's loading up right now. Guys, this best of 3 will decide who is eliminated and who goes on to face off against Sue in Group B of the GSL.
Came for war.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Zest. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
So once again, we have these spawns where the Terran is spawning counterclockwise to the opponent. And so them pushing into the third base, if it's going to be a siege tank push, which at times can be very difficult to deal with Protoss players in the early game in this matchup, it could be deadly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, whenever you have close proximities like this, certain ideas get amplified, right? So, you know, one thing about TVP in general on this map is that it's not exactly like, you know, one race inherently has to just outgrow the other. Like, you know, it is with Zerg versus a Protoss or a Terran, where the Zerg is just kind of growing and growing. It does seem like if you get into a longer and longer game, Protoss could start to take more bases. You know, there's a lot of different ways the matchup can go for sure. But in this case, they are both sharing the bottom. Terran does have a harder time on any map growing out of their quadrant of the map, where Protoss kind of can get away with it a little bit more easily, even though there's a lot of things that are mobile about Terran, like medevacs or having a planetary that can protect itself. I mean, the warp ability is, and recall is just on a whole other level.
Yeah, you can't just warp in an army at whatever base you desire. And fortunately for Zest, he's going to scout ByuN last, so he will be able to confirm it's a Reaper at the cost of that probe. And does know the positions now. ByuN is going to go to the middle. And I feel like once he identifies where Zest is, I wouldn't be surprised if he just fully committed onto a timing attack for that reason that you stated, that it is quite hard for a Terran to take a fourth base, even in these positions. And these positions, they definitely do favor some kind of big timing push. But one thing I do want to say is when we had the intro of the show, they showed the stats of these players against each other. And I was so surprised because these two players have played 303 online matches against each other. Zest has won 152 and ByuN has won 151.
That is crazy.
That's nuts to me.
Yeah, to have played that many times. And I guess it kind of makes sense because going into this, normally I can pick a favorite. And I thought, I don't know, I feel like I've seen these guys beat each other a lot, right?
Oh, wow. Really good catch there by Zest.
Yeah, he's not going to see the blink that's coming here. And this is going to be 2-gate blink, right?
Yeah.
And probably a third in a little bit here, unless he takes a really fast Nexus, which this doesn't seem to be as trendy now as it once was. And so it's going to be a Robo here.
Is he looking? He's not. We've all been there.
Yeah, he's going to go back and be like, what? Oh.
Those cheeky Widowmines. But at least Zest now has that on his radar, that there's probably going to be some kind of Widowmine drop coming in. So we'll see how well he prepares for that, because Widowmine drops, I mean, they did nerf, I believe, if recalling correctly, the Drilling Claws upgrade railroad time, but otherwise it's pretty much the same, and 2 Widowmines have the potential to get a lot of damage done if they aren't handled perfectly, but luckily for Zest, with Stalkers out and a probe spotting, should be able to deal with this.
This is one of the harder early game things in all the matchups to deal with, is the moment the Widowmines come in. Went through the blind spot. Because if you're not watching and you don't evacuate in time, you are going to be punished.
Not too bad there. Oh, even going to get a Widowmine. Oh, and Blake's finished.
Yep. I was holding my breath. That's what happens when you A-click. Did not click down the medevac first, but it's fine. He kills that. So that's actually ByuN losing more than he got from the drop. You know, and this of course, it's a thing about drops, right? I mean, if you lose everything and don't really take that much from it, you kind of put yourself behind.
It's the thing about ByuN specifically too. I feel like him more so than the average Terran player will take those risks, because just on an average, it usually pays off more often than it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, it's a thing about ByuN as well is he doesn't seem to be as calculated with his engagements. He's just really fast and good at controlling. So I will say, even though Zest survives that drop, It was a very greedy third base here.
Yeah.
2 gates, Robo, just some stalkers, and gets the third base up. I think an auto turret's going to be chucked down here to kill some workers off. But, you know, if you get a third base up and can start to really get the perks of that pretty quickly, you start to mine from it right away, you could actually get a pretty good army to fight. The problem is that this is a 2-base push coming in here, and ByuN is interrupting the mining at both sites.
Yeah, Zest's already lost 6 probes as well, which is more than you would expect to get if you were a ByuN, and that's gonna hurt. That's a lot of lost mining time. That's a lot of workers going down, and a really critical junction here for Zest because he really needs his economy to be kicking on all cylinders to be able to handle this push that's gonna come out from ByuN.
Now, there's a War Prism coming out at a kind of funny time. I actually thought the push was about to come from ByuN, by the way. When I saw the army out there and the medevac, I thought, okay, well, I've seen this before. But he's actually staying back, and I think he's even getting a 3rd command center here.
Huh. I was right there with you. I thought there might be a push coming
Am
quite
I crazy?
soon,
That's
but
a 3rd right down there, I think.
yeah, I think you're correct. That's a 3rd CC going down in the main
It's just a
base.
really big barracks, tasteless. So, you know, I feel like this complements what. I mean, I think Zest likes the situation, basically.
Oh, yeah.
His third base has just been mined for longer. The threat's not there. Something, I think there's something that ByuN saw that made him think twice and pull back.
I think part of it is also usually when you go as the Terran player for this kind of really early push with siege tanks, there's very minimal harassment or anything that goes on before then, because you got to think about like the factory time. Instead of making tanks, you made 2 Widow Mines, which got nothing done. The starport, you almost lost a medevac.
Yeah.
You didn't get anything done then, so you lose a little bit of tempo. And as a result, maybe he felt that if he was going to push out, he might just get overwhelmed by the charge zealots and stalkers. So we'll see. But there is a little bit of a silver lining here for ByuN, which is that Zest doesn't know for a fact. He didn't know for a very long time whether the push was going to come, and the threat's always there. So Zest, in the meantime, he hasn't really been getting a lot of upgrades. He hasn't been getting a lot of high-tech units because he knows that he needs to produce units in case ByuN attacks.
Yeah.
So it kind of works in ByuN's favor in that way, in that his army, ByuN with tanks and medevacs, continuously scales better, whereas the Zealots and Stalkers, they're good in kind of like medium, small engagements against ByuN, but once you hit this critical mass that we're starting to see move across the map, Protoss really starts to need other tools.
Yeah, and we see those tools coming. I mean, the Immortal just came out. We've got the robotic support bay. But yeah, I mean, ByuN's supply, you know, especially in army, is exceeding what Zest has. Zest has a Colossus coming in here. There might be like a small moment where ByuN's army is just going to be better if he can kind of get in there before these 2 Colossi come out. But if he's going to do that, he needs to basically attack right now because, you know, Chrono boost out those Colossi pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think Zest actually has a couple of sentries as well, so without any Vikings, there really isn't going to be a chance for ByuN to get on those Colossi once they pop. So right now might be the time, but the Colossi are already really close to production. 4 Immortals out too, and that's a lot of force fields, but we'll see what happens right now as ByuN is coming in. He's going to stim forward. Shield overcharge goes off, and some bio is getting picked off by these force fields, but ByuN just can't quite break this position just yet. And the Colossi, the first one's popped, the second one's about to, and Thermal Lance is on the way now as well.
Is there still no observer over here? I guess not. Look at the patience here from Zest. He just sort of moves the Immortals back ever so slightly. And you can see he's just not able to really make a dent over here. A small drop, which was basically, you know, this was all designed to try to make all the Stalkers in the main turn around. But it didn't work. And so it's just, you know, going to be a few Stalkers over here. This is going to be cleaned up over time. This is no real existential threat here to Zest.
And now looking at the minimap, we have a lot more units coming out from ByuN, so he's really committing for this push. He scans as well. Most of the force fields were depleted there, so here we go. The first Colossi is going to get pushed back right there, and now Zest pushing forward right now. These guys going blow for blow, but Zest's army looks really powerful right now, and the Immortal count is so high, and ByuN's army has so many Marauders, but no! Look at this Concave, he's just pushing forward, he's just manpowering his way through. All of the critical units go down for Zest, and maybe Zest will be able to hold this just barely, but he took huge damage.
I think actually ByuN may have, like, in the course of 4 seconds or so, just like won this game, because it killed the Immortals and the Colossi. I mean, we have another Colossus coming back here. Oh my god, the War Prism Where did that just like drops from the top of the screen and takes damage? I don't even know what's going on here.
Feels like an F2A move kind of situation right there.
I actually think now ByuN, if he can regroup, can actually attack it and win.
Yeah, all the critical units died there. I mean, I was looking at the army comps. It's just like all Marauders and a couple of siege tanks, and I'm thinking, oh, surely the Immortals will be able to clean this up. But somehow ByuN just makes it work.
I mean, not to mention, like, if you lose all of your robo units, like, usually that's a sign that, like, you're not going to be in a healthy position later on. Now, he needs to get some more medevacs out here and get some more energy, but I think we're going to see ByuN come back twice as strong. Although the supplies are similar, the army compositions should be pretty good.
The one thing to the credit of Zest, though, is that he does have that 2 robo up, so he will be able to replace those critical units more quickly than otherwise. I would feel like if it was 1 robo, he might just be dead, but as it is right now, he will be able to rebuild those critical units. The problem now, though, is that ByuN has ghosts, and ghosts are going to be a huge boon to this army.
Okay, another, nice blink in. A shutdown there, a much-needed victory here for Zest. The 4th base comes down at the bottom. Again, we have a kind of a similar situation to the ByuN Su game where, like, they're just uncomfortably close to each other. Stalker's coming up. He could end up sniping these ghosts, or...
Oh, get out of there. That hurts a lot. Really don't want to lose any Stalkers in this position right now. Zest has to play this situation perfectly if he wants to survive, and...
We do have some more Vikings coming in here, intended to try to hit those Colossi at great distances. Zest moves up towards the center and is kind of going around this 4th base. I may be wrong. Does he actually know that 4th base has been taken? I'm sure he might suspect it, but I don't think he ever actually got vision of that area.
I think he has an observer down there on the bottom.
I think you're right.
I see that little tiny blue dot. But Zest, right now, his army, I think, can take ByuN's in a fight. The issue is going to be once the Viking count gets high, I'm not sure, because this army for ByuN, it's going to continue to scale better and better, and he even has an upgrade advantage right now. I mean, Zest is just now starting +1 armor, and yes, his attack upgrades are good, but ByuN's about to go on +3 attack, and I mean, watch how fast these probes are going to get melted down by these Marines. Like, those 4 probes just drop instantly. He's lucky he didn't lose any more.
Nice
EMPs.
EMPs.
No, all force fields are gone now.
Oh, but kind of a clunky fight over here, fighting on this edge, which really optimizes the Colossi damage. But I think he might just have too much. The last Colossus goes down, and all I see is a ByuN army that cannot be stopped.
Oh, man. Zest, he needed those force fields. No force fields, and he cannot control the fight at all. And ByuN just pounces on his army. Those Colossi, they just drop like they're made of paper.
Dude, it's kind of crazy, man. It like looks like it might be close, and then suddenly ByuN is like going to win. I saw this this video on Twitter of this guy getting grabbed by a orangutan and being pulled in the cage.
Video.
You know, Tom, he grabs his shirt. It's like the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you just stay in an attack with ByuN. So he goes, then he holds on to your leg.
Yeah, man. That was some really good play there by ByuN, man. The first fight at the 3rd base, it was looking like Zest had all the tools he needed to be able to hold on to it, and ByuN just somehow powers his way through, and then again in the mid-fight, Zest isn't looking for a second. All of his sentries get EMP and they get taken out. Phenomenal control by ByuN. It's why we love him. It's why he's a fan favorite.
Hardwire for map 2. If Zest doesn't win here, he's out of the GSL.
I came for war.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Zest. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
Okay, man. I mean, ByuN, it's funny. I don't mean to say that he's bad when I'm describing this, but you know, you can see the difference between ByuN and Bunny. Like, Bunny is so much more refined, but ByuN is still scary.
ByuN is very scary.
Yeah, like there's been a couple moments in these games where you look at it and you go like, okay, well, you know.
That's still my girlfriend. I still want to win.
Excellent sign.
It's one of the funniest signs I've seen in a while.
Dude, I know, it's so fun having an audience down here again. So good having you guys and girls showing up to the show.
We love our fans.
Yes, after having an empty studio for so long. But yeah, I mean, when we're talking about ByuN and how strong he is, I mean, he just seems to be so able to force these fights. Like, we saw the infantry get stuck on that pillar in the middle of that fight, and it's like everything is being hit by 4 Colossi, but then he still busts through. And that's the thing about ByuN is, like, a lot of other players will retreat and kind of be more cautious, but ByuN, if he really thinks he can actually win it, he'll force a fight. And you know, Terran with Stim specifically, you can stutter step like through an army so fast if you take it right, and you just click down each of the correct targets.
Yeah, I feel like in a perfect world, Zest could have won that fight if the sentries don't get EMP'd, because the longer the fight goes on, he's able to utilize the extra range of the Colossus. He's able to segment different units coming out from ByuN and control that zone by that pillar. But ByuN just, again, killer instinct. Like, we saw this in his TVTs. Even though he lost the series in game number 1, he would just stim and go for it in situations that were potentially very dangerous, and he made it work. And then the same situation against Zest. He comes in, he identifies, oh, if these sentries get EMP'd, I can just kill this army.
Yeah.
And it melted. It just completely melted.
No, it was crazy, man. So, I mean, this time he scouts the Stargate. Also with the Zealot poke coming in here. Obviously, when you see this, you know that there's going to be something aggressive coming from Terran, and the drop is... oh, I'm sorry. For some reason, I decided this was a drop. He's actually just going to burrow the Widow Mine behind the refinery. I remember when people first figured this out, by the way. The fact that this game it's like 3D, but it's really from a 2.5D perspective. And so the tops of the buildings kind of go over the ground behind it. And so you can just kind of stuff Widow Mines back there, and it's a little bit harder to see.
For me, it's not the ones that are like behind the refineries that get me. It's the ones that are like under the SCVs in the mineral lines that get me, like right where they're mining. But yeah, he scouted the, he sacrificed the Reaper to scout this Oracle. Oh, he saw the little laser beam, the tracking beacon from that Widow Mine. ByuN now gonna move that elsewhere, but yeah, ByuN just reacting to that Oracle, making sure he's playing really safe, and as a result, not gonna lose much of anything. Zest just kind of getting some vision now and confirming exactly what's going on there in ByuN's base, but it's nothing out of the ordinary, and Zest just gonna go blink and take a third.
Now, this is, as far as the Protoss is concerned, I mean, you're not trying to really get that much done here. You're basically trying to be safe. It's the moment where, you know, we're done with the Oracle coming in to scout, figure out what's going on. Basically, you see, okay, they did not get a second base quickly. I'm going to get my third right away here, and all I need to do is make sure I don't take a tremendous amount of damage from drops. Now, let's not forget, this actually happened in the game before. Circumstances to get there were a little bit different, but Zest handled any aggression very easily from ByuN. I mean, ByuN powered through at the end of that game, not at the early part. And that's important to note because every game when you're at the pro level, it starts out with a certain build order that you're trying to get to somewhere, and there's certain sequences. But as you get further and further along, the game kind of takes its own shape and form. And I think that ByuN is a little bit better at fighting and kind of maintaining in those games compared to Zest, who I think is very much, I'm probably not articulating this right, like kind of railroads himself into the builds he's trying to do.
No, I think
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I feel like part of that is just the styles of these players are very different. I mean, Zest, as you said, he usually sticks a little bit more to a game plan and a build.
Yeah.
Whereas ByuN just kind of feels like an agent of chaos. And hold that thought for a moment, because it looks like Zest is thinking about causing some chaos, but I'm not sure about that blink up, and it seems like Zest isn't either.
Yeah, we've seen this used before. It's kind of an alternative approach to the Observer Stalker blink into the main, where basically you can have your third, and if you realize you're not going to be attacked at all, like in this case, ByuN's not going to drop, as we can see. He's made a Raven as an example. Then you try to set up a pin, and this used to kill like every Terran all the time, to the point where it looked unstoppable until Terrans would like put a siege tank in their main in a spot where the Stalkers can't reach it. Have infantry ready.
One main thing to note here is that Zest's goal now, it's not to do damage, it's to try and stall this push as much as possible because there is no third CC for ByuN. The medevac count is really low instead. ByuN made siege tanks, he made a Raven, he has 1 Widow Mine. Those are the only 2 medevacs I think on the field right now.
Yeah,
ByuN is going for the killer move, and so watch to see Zest try and kite and pick off as many Marines as it can, maybe even this Widow Mine that's poking out a little bit too far forward. Just do any damage because this army for ByuN, if it gets entrenched in a very defendable position, can be so hard to kill. +1 ground weapons is going to finish for the infantry. Stim is done, combat shields is done, and I don't know if Zest is going to be able to hold on. These situations are always very, very dire, but he does have a healthy number of zealots.
Yeah, the Zealots are going to be a saving grace, and of course the Raven doesn't help at all against the Zealots. I guess you could auto turret. You know, that Raven is very good if you see like you know, Immortal or, you know, Colossus or something out here. I don't think we have any tech that he can really do anything with that. And I think with this next wave of Zealots, no way, right? There's no way he can do this.
If he gets the armor shred on the Zealots, the bio might just melt it. So we'll have to see what that Raven gets out. He is going to put down turrets instead. And a lot of the Stalkers going down, though. ByuN with some really nice position over here on the Naturals, picking up a lot of these really high-value units. And once the Stalkers are dead, this bio is going to be able to lift up and go to the third base, and that's exactly what ByuN is doing. In the meantime, ByuN's siege tanks did get cleaned up, so Zest with a nice defense there. He does lose a lot of Stalkers, but his economy is pretty much untouched.
That was a bizarre engagement.
It was really kind of weird.
It's like we just watched ByuN like parkour through the base but lose everything on the way, where I'm like, well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like instead of those like really,
I don't even.
Yeah, it's like instead of the high skill like parkour videos we'll see on YouTube, it's like the Dunder Mifflin guys doing
He's
parkour
got broken
in the office.
bones. Like he finished the course and stuff, but he also like lost his wallet and everything else.
Yeah, and ByuN had a lot invested in that attack too. The CC now is just finishing back at home, and I mean, the game is not over by any means, but this has definitely swung very much in Zest's favor, and Zest might just be able to kind of power his way through because his gateway count is so high. If he goes in and gets one good engagement on this bio, he might just be able to overwhelm.
That attack for ByuN was so bad, I can't even believe it.
I think I got the concept there when he identified the situation. He's like, I can kill his Stalkers, and then I can move my bio around and drop and try and pick things off. But I guess maybe he just didn't anticipate Zest's economy to be quite as strong as it was.
It seemed like he wanted to get there and like have 2 disables on 2 important units and stim and win, and it's like, well, it's only Zealots. You know, and the thing is, if you're going to have a mass bio army against like just a bunch of Zealots and Stalkers, you need a lot of medevacs to heal everything and kite it, but instead he was like running through. Now, look, I mean, the game has gone on. There's certainly more medevacs and Marauders and Marines here, so maybe he can take the next fight. Army supply is very even. There is, he's going to try to bait.
Oh my god, that was
dude.
a huge stasis ward. What a trap. ByuN's going to try and defend this position with Widow Mines, but you know Zest wants to pounce on this.
Yeah, bit of an overextension there. Oh, maybe not, actually. Maybe that was the plan.
He's trying to get the Widow Mines.
Yeah.
All right. Stasis ward about to pop, but Zest, I think maybe decided he doesn't want to fight.
He rescues that. They're going to get away.
There's still no splash damage out for Zest. Keep that in mind. It's really just Stalkers and Zealots out.
And that is really the big issue. That's sick. Command center there kind of walls him out.
that is pretty cool.
Yeah. It'd be funny if you just attacked the command center with the Zealots and then we're like, oh, big loss. Yeah, you're right. He's got an army that would let him live early on, but it doesn't look like it's going to get any more complicated or sophisticated, is probably a better term, as the game pans out. I mean,
oh, that's a lot of units medevacs, so there are no observers spotting this. Those 5 full medevacs, and if you're going to keep this back at home, this Doom Drop, if it goes uncontested in the main phase, could be really deadly. We'll see. Keep in mind, Zest should have recall available, and he has his whole army positioned at the 4th base, but we'll keep an eye on this medevac and what it's able to do. Round of Zealots getting worked in now.
I mean, can you recall enough to take this fight? And now we've got a big push coming in here from the bottom as well. He's going to recall.
All right.
All right.
I mean, there's not enough Stalkers here.
I don't think we have enough Zealots in this game, guys. What do you think?
The bio's going to get cleaned up, but now ByuN is hitting the 4th base. Oh, both full medevacs go get taken down.
But hold up. He's going to get this Nexus. Oh, these two Marauders are so angry.
Gonna get that game
They
right.
were left behind.
Get the Cyber Core now. Go
Yeah,
for
go
it.
for it. We'll never let another Stalker be made in this game again.
This army for Zest, though, is just huge. I mean, ByuN lost so much supply right there. That was 5 full medevacs and 3 medevacs empty are going to try and return back home.
But I think he can just remake. I mean, that's the one advantage of this type of composition. I mean, it's all from the barracks, right? You get the Marauders and Marines back in there.
I hear what you're saying, but like the Viking count is really low, and we're soon going to have 5 Colossi out for Zest, who's about to be maxed. And yes, there are ghosts out for ByuN, but this isn't kind of the situation we had last game where Zest is really relying on force fields to kind of take the Terran army piecemeal by piecemeal and wipe it down. He has a ton of zealots. This is kind of an A-move toss kind of play, so I don't know exactly where this game is going to go, but if Zest decides to go for a push, I feel like it could be deadly because looking at this bio ball, that does not seem... It does not seem like it can handle this army we have on our screen right now.
Now, and by the way, I think you make a very good point. You know, with this many Colossi, it's like just going to obliterate everything. But Terran can rely on counterattacks. You know, one thing about the Colossi, they're, even though they can walk over, you know, elevated terrain, they're actually pretty slow units. And so maybe ByuN wants to try to rely more on that.
We'll see. Zest now posturing on the west side of the map, and I think if Zest had a better idea of exactly what ByuN's situation is back at home, he might be pouncing on this, but a little bit in the dark right now. You see he's worried about a drop in the main base too, as a lot of Stalkers are back at home as well. And
yeah, I guess it should be noted too, Zest doesn't have a lot of spots to counterattack. They're both playing very tight games here.
That's a great point. Disruptors now being added into the mix for Zest, as well as Blink DTs to eventually snipe potential 5th and 6th bases if planetaries do go up there. These 2 Disruptors, once they're done, if they reach this army, they have a lot of potential to swing this game around because it's really hard to micro those ghosts away from the Disruptor shots.
Yeah, he's going to have to be very careful how he approaches this. He's going to drive him away. It may be in ByuN's best interest to throw down another command center or 2. You know, when you have the Colossi Stalker army, everything kind of has to be together to work. And, you know, it is a pretty mobile army, but I think the Terrans is a little bit more mobile.
Yeah, this army for ByuN now is really powerful. Zest's going to need a big Disruptor hit.
Oh, gets that Disruptor.
Yeah, sniped immediately.
Oh my God. He's like, remember when I parkoured and lost everything? He's like, watch me this time. I'm going to do it with more.
Kiting back now. Most of the Colossi are going down. These Vikings getting good trades in.
Dude, the Vikings are doing exactly what they need to do. And now he's going to run away from the Colossi. Disruptor shot down immediately. Oh, dude.
ByuN is taking some really favorable trades right now. All the Zealots going down as well. And you see Zest supply plummet all the way down into the 80s.
And he just runs out. He's like, okay, I killed everything I needed to kill. Let's heal up, rebuild, and I think probably win this game.
Yeah, Zest a little bit overeager there, overextending with the Disruptor shots, not able to make anything happen with them. And as a result, he loses almost all of his army supply, kind of in a similar position to game number 1, where all of the key units just got sniped. And now if you're Zest, what, you're making Stalkers, you have 1 Disruptor, you're making 2 more. I mean, ByuN's going to slip against those Disruptor shots and laugh at your army.
Yeah. I feel like we've never seen a Disruptor shot finish until now, right? Like, every time we see them fire, ByuN is like, jumped over the Stalkers and shot the Disruptor in the face.
Yeah, ByuN just looking unstoppable at this point. Zest needs the Disruptor shots of his life with these 2 that are coming out right now, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Okay, I mean, Zest is hanging on. The supplies really do tell the bigger story, though. You know, he's not able to kind of get something of the size that he needs, and Terran can slowly chew away and whatever else is here to defend. This Nexus is going to fall shortly unless Protoss can turn this fight around.
I think this is going to be it, man. The Liberators are just locking this down. This Bio Army is so powerful. That's going to be it. Zest is eliminated. ByuN will meet Sue in the final match.
And ByuN, again, looking just in great condition here. ByuN versus Sue coming up next, man. That is a match to be really excited for. And I don't know who's better out of the 2, to be honest.
On paper, it feels like it could be really close, but I'm
Yeah.
worried about Sue. I mean, the
But I mean,
matchup against Bunny was quite one-sided. He did play very well against Zest, but I don't know exactly where ZBT
Yeah, I
is
don't
at
know
right
how
now.
that Zest game is going to help in this matchup, right? So, Zest is the first to be eliminated. I'll tell you, man, I love Zest. I've been a fan of his play for a long time, but he did not bring modern play to this, and so he's out. Guys, short break coming up next. Sue vs. ByuN.
We're spending most our lives as an absolute paradise. And baby, we got love, but can we keep it safe enough? It's not so easy, gonna keep us busy, busy. I work hard, I play hard, I leave in the love and I get scarred. I love you, I need you, but we gotta make sure I don't get to choose. Cause when I get loose, everyone's around get bruised. The security is loose, baby. Let's be true, us two. I wish I wanted to, and nothing more. Love me too, I knew I should have told you how I love before. Let's be true, us two. I wish I wanted to, and nothing more. Love me too, I knew I should have told you how I love before. Yeah. For the sake of humanity, man, I'm not your enemy. Can you see it with clarity? I have the capacity, my love is gravity. Keeping us on the ground. Maybe there is any chance for you to believe. I'm not fooling you around, just perceive that I'm mad, you're mad. All in all, we are glad that we have each other, and I try not to be bad. I work hard, I play hard, I leave in the love and I get scarred. I love you, I need you, but we gotta make sure I don't get to choose. Cause when I get loose, everyone's around get bruised. The security's loose, baby. Let's be true, us two. I wish I wanted to, and nothing more. Love me too, I knew I should have told you how I love before. Let's be true, us two. I wish I wanted to. You got something that I need. Yeah, I'll be coming up hot for a minute.
처음이야 우리가 기다린 사이다 처음이야 부담 없이 즐기는 사이다 시기 섬유 함유
이런 게 이 시대의 사이다.
실성 사이다 플러스
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탕스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로 탕스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼, 홀릭 점심엔 라떼, 홀릭 저녁엔 라떼, 홀릭 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀릭.
I'll be coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I'll be coming up hot for a minute.
처음이야 우리가 기다린 사이다 처음이야 부담 없이 즐기는 사이다 시기 섬유 함유
이런 게 이 시대의 사이다.
실성 사이다 플러스
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탕스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로 탕스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침엔 라떼, 홀릭 점심엔 라떼, 홀릭 저녁엔 라떼, 홀릭 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭.
달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
라떼 홀릭.
형님들 아프리카에 승부 예측 생긴 거 아세요, 여러분들?
아니 e스포츠 여기 탭에 있잖아요, 여러분들. 아니 이게 새로 생겼더라.
저는 광동에 올인했어요.
아 진짜요?
네.
아 그럼 전 DRX에 올인.
모바일도 똑같이 아래 가운데 보면 e스포츠 있어요. 잼이라는 포인트가 있어요.
아프리카 내에서 쓸 수 있는 재화라고 생각하시면 돼요.
잼을 사은품으로 교환 가능하다고요?
이 잼으로 응모를 다 할 수 있어.
키보드는 벌써 나갔네.
아이폰 갤럭시 탭. 아 이게 200잼이야?
교환까지 할 수 있으니까 형님들 아프리카 승부 예측 많이 사랑 부탁드립니다. 받아오도록 하겠습니다.
최고의 적의 정점 이병렬 10년 만에 결승진출 꿈은 이루어지고 있습니다. 우승 가능성은 아직 끝나지 않았습니다. 시즌에 우승을 할 것이라고 예측한 사람 많지 않았습니다.
Today's matchup: Zest, Sue, Bunny, ByuN. Round of 20, Group B. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2022 GSL Season 2.
Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it?
We're back to close out Group B. Silver's ByuN is all that's left, and only one of them is going to survive to the next round. You know, as we get over that break, I'm kind of more and more on your page. I think ByuN is looking better. It is a little bit alarming when you see Zergs just die to pushes. And I know the Nautilus game, that's a harder one for the Zerg, but in general, if you just see them get pushed, you know, on 4 bases, that's about as textbook of a loss as you can have. And I don't know. I mean, let's see. I mean, granted, Sue was dying to Bunny earlier, and ByuN is a different player. And ByuN, I think, does have more flaws in his play than Bunny.
Yeah, he plays a little bit more of a volatile style, whereas Bunny, when we saw him push, everything in the game was leading up to that one moment, whereas ByuN just kind of, it seems like he tries to kill you by like death by 1,000 cuts at times. And
He's trying to take every instance and make it an opportunity, which, I mean, he's won World Championships and he's also lost early on in GSLs because of that. It could happen here today. The question for Sue is going to be, can he do what the best Zergs do, which is basically draw the game out, assuming it's going to be a macro game. and either exhaust the player attacking or get so much of the map that we're in one of these insane macro games that usually lead to the longest games in StarCraft 2. Super drawn out Terran Berserks.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing what the map picks will be for both players because I feel like Nautilus is going to be the pick for ByuN if he gets a chance. And it just seems like it's been really good for Terran so far in TBZ in this tournament, you know? Like, if you're able to control Zerg, even if you get, like, cross spawns, if you're able to control them on 4 bases and deny that 5th base, it can be really good. If you get close spawns, you can get the push kind of like Bunny did in the previous set. So, interested in seeing the maps, interested in seeing what ByuN's approach is going to be to this matchup and whether Su's going to be able to hold him off.
Yeah, we're going to find out. 2,000 atmospheres to start this best of 3 off. Su versus ByuN. Already we're going to knock one of these 2 players out. It feels weird, man.
It's crazy. It's been a kind of an insane start to GSL here this first week. We got Rogue knocked out in day number 1, and now Su and ByuN. These guys are 2 of the most storied players in the world.
It's true, man. By the way, ByuN, no wrist pain, it seems like so far. Su, fresh back, from the military. All right, let's get rid of one of these guys. Let's kill one. Let's go.
Guangdong Freaks, Su. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
You know, I'm really liking this new GSL format.
Yeah.
I feel like the round of 20 having 5 group stages of 4 players, like the quality of matches that we've been getting day in and day out has been so good. Like day 1 was incredible. Like Rogue getting knocked out
That was insane. That was something I certainly was not prepared for.
Now, like Su and ByuN, only one of these players is going to advance to the round of 10. The other one is out of Code S this season. It's wild. It's fun.
It's crazy, man. I mean, honestly, I think the changes are very much welcome because, look, it is the same show. This is literally the longest lasting esports show of all time.
Yeah.
Including the old StarCraft 1 tournaments. It's actually outlived even that. But, you know, it helps to change parts of the format to make it a little bit more interesting, you know? And I think it definitely helps out quite a bit. Now, in this game, we should note ByuN basically going to rush into an expand. He's going to get a Reaper to scout. He likes to do this a lot, just get a Reaper right away and see what he can't find with it. But this is going to be a lot more of a macro game in general coming here. Oh, I like that. Little Barracks End Factory wall there. That's cute.
Yeah, that's a nice little wall in. I don't see that too often in TVZ, admittedly. This isn't a matchup that I study too hard.
No, so same for me. I mean, that's why I wanted to remark on it.
That's quite creative, and Super's going to come in and get a little bit of damage done, but yeah, not going to pick up too much. But ByuN Reavers are something else, man. Look at all this damage on these Lings. He's not stopping.
Yeah.
This Queen's going to come away and finally kick this Reaper out, but he gets a Ling.
All right, he gets a Ling.
GG.
GG.
Let's go set 2.
That's it, yeah. Oh my God,
no.
he's gonna.
He's like teasing him,
the
man.
Reaper with narcolepsy. He just like passes out.
I love how he moves it like a meter to the right. Just
Yeah.
like, continue chasing me, please.
Yeah. Get a little bit further off of quick creep.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a Ghost Academy. What are we seeing?
Oh. Yeah, it is.
This is.
I'm actually glad you said that.
This is
because
wild.
I would not have even been looking for that right now.
So it looks like we're gonna have Hellions coming out, which is pretty much par for the course for Terran, but we're actually gonna be having a Ghost follow-up. Is there any world in which she gets cloaked ghosts? Like, what is going on here?
I can't tell you. I'm trying to think.
He's rallying it to the Hellions, so he's intending on moving this out.
Is it gonna be something like Snipe?
Snipe on the Queens and then clean up the Lings with Hellion? No way, right?
I don't know. It's one ghost coming.
He's got a second one queued already. No cloak in production. Doesn't look like he's banking the resources for it. So yeah, he's just planning on using these ghosts, and there's an armory going up as well. It's gonna be Hellbat Ghost?
Well, I guess that would make a lot of sense now, because then all the queens die, and then the Hellbats just sort of win the fight.
I've never.
So I remember like really like beta of the game early. People mess with ghosts like off 1 or 2 bases.
He just sniped. He just sniped the queen. One queen's dead already, and I mean, Sue's probably like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah. This is the worst feeling ever when someone's doing this to you in a match. You're like, I don't understand what's happening, and I'm scared, and I'm gonna learn what's happening as it beats me in the game. But, I mean, can Ling or Roach not just overpower this?
Yeah, the Roach Warren is going down now. That's my question as well, as if that's going to be able to stop it. As the Ghost is antsy to get another snipe off. There it is. And look, taps it with the Hellions, and the Ghost Knight finishes it off. That's another queen that's going down right now.
Dude, this is kind of crazy.
Like the Ghosts, they do bonus damage against light units, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to melt these Lings as well as the Hellions. There's a Reaper as well. And, I mean, that's 3 queens already dead.
And it does take the queens a while to make here, so he snipes another one.
Goodness.
The Lings are going to come down. The Lings are actually doing a decent amount of damage, but they can't keep pursuing these Hellions. So there's 4 queens left. I think there's literally 3 being made right now.
Yeah,
3 more.
He can't stop making queens, because if that number gets too low, he is in a world of trouble right now. And ByuN going to be setting up to go for another snipe, I'm sure, as the 3rd ghost now is finishing and crossing the map. 5 roaches are finally out now. I don't know what ByuN does to deal with the roaches. That's my big question.
What's funny is, the Hellions don't have to stay there for that long for the damage with the ghost to do its job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nice idea for the counterattack, but he's not going to get in.
This wall makes a lot of sense now as well.
Maybe he doesn't want to go for Hellbats at all. Maybe we kind of just...
Maybe, yeah, maybe. All right, he's sniping roaches now.
But, the problem with this build is you just don't have Medic Marine. Or Marine Medevac, excuse me. So you don't have that kind of backbone that you need.
I don't know, though. Like, can this push actually kill him? Because, like, the ghosts are going to get more energy. They're going to eventually be able to snipe more. I'm not... Behind the wall, how are you really going to be able to break it?
2 factories with tanks.
Is this like a ghost and a ghost mech?
It's ghost mech, dude?
I know Artosis is at home right now, and he's wishing he was here.
He just went like this. He went, oh, like that in his chair.
Look at this. He's going to clean this up.
Artosis' toes are curling as he sits on his couch going ghost mech. Ow.
This is an incredible start to this game. I've never seen any opening
I've never
like
seen this comp before.
This is incredible, and I mean, Sue just seems like he doesn't really know what to do. 15 more roaches in production. Once roach speed comes up, I think he might have a chance of being able to clean this up, but by then, my question is, like, what is the roach, or what is the tank count going to be for ByuN? Because maybe the roaches won't be able to get anything accomplished. Like, if there's 5 ghosts out, that's 5 roaches already dead by snipes. Then you have siege tanks, potentially Hellbats.
The power of the ghost is that if they have energy, really Cyclones here too?
Blue Flame Cyclones and the Cyclone upgrade. I play Protoss, I don't know what it's called, but yeah, wow! This is an insane composition.
The thing is, if you have enough ghosts with energy, they just can easily snipe down each of these queens. Or roaches, or anything big.
Roach speed is almost done.
The thing is, I think that I don't think this is going to work. I like this, and I'm excited to see it.
I don't know.
I'm not sure if this is just like going to be a moment where we realize why you don't see it, even if it's cool. But this could be a huge shift in the way that people understand the game. Clearly, he's been hanging on to this and waiting for an important moment like this one to use it.
Yeah, final match here in Group B. You know ByuN wants to go to the next round. He has cut ghost production, so it looks like he will just be sitting on these 2 very battered ghosts for now. And it's a lot of Hellbats, a lot of tanks, and Sue is responding with Swarm Hosts. Okay.
Oh, man. Yeah, Swarm Hosts. That could be pretty strong, honestly, here.
Yeah, I like that move. What a wild game 1 to start this series.
Yeah, it's definitely a crazy one.
Cyclone slowly whittling down these roaches and forcing Sue to go back. We're seeing kind of a battle mech style here from ByuN. But that's a lot of expensive mech units that are going down. The siege tanks are going to siege and finally clean up those roaches. But now, I mean, I want to say it's going to be double-digit swarm hosts for Su very soon.
He's going to have to use them to defend, though. I mean, Terran's already going to be so far down here. I think that the swarm hosts were a good idea, but if you bleed out everything else, Terran's just going to come down here to 6 o'clock and wreck you.
We'll see 3 more Cyclones in production, 4 more Hellions. So he's going almost full battle mech. I guess the siege tanks are just kind of to hold this ground.
Reminds me of the way Gumiho used to play the game.
Yeah, this is something crazy, man. Still one ghost, more snipes coming in. Swarm hosts are moving up to the top side. They should probably be sending down.
No, they're moving down to the bottom here. He's actually going to unleash them on the tanks right down here. Yeah.
Oh, those tanks are not long for this world. This swarm host flank is beautiful right now, and the roaches and ravagers coming in from the side as well, and that's a lot of very expensive mech units going down for ByuN as Su is reaching max. And honestly, a very unusual start to game number 1, but Su looks like he kind of found the answer.
I think Su sort of, was presented with a problem, got to kind of sit on it for a few minutes and be like, swarm host. That's going to be the solution here. And Terran lost a lot of momentum when those swarm hosts came out. And I think now it's going to be the point in time, especially with the factories out here like this is actually even worse versus swarm hosts, because then they're just going to hit your infrastructure. If this is against a guy who's making like lots of banelings or going roach ravager, having the factories out there helps.
It's the worst feeling in the world when it gets on your production facilities. That in your command centers, I mean, oh no, even the rally here, it just hurts, man.
All right, they're going to come up and try to take a fight, but I just think there's too much.
Yeah, it feels like it was a...
There's no real recourse, I think, for the Terran from the swarm host with the unit comp we have.
Yeah, I'm not sure what path forward he has. I mean, the Hellions, like, kind of getting us around on swarm host, but yeah, they don't really do a lot of damage to those units, buddy. It's kind of funny when you see swarm hosts getting surrounded by enemy and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're going to see ByuN kind of have a slow and painful death here as Zergling's even coming in onto the 4th base. More swarm hosts coming in here in the main. Siege tanks going down as well, and ByuN. I mean, that was a fantastically interesting opener.
Dude, it was one of the most memorable games, weirdly, I've ever casted, because it was so out there. It almost felt like we were just in the first couple months of the game, when people were really getting experimental.
It's like a fruit dealer moment.
Yeah, it was just so crazy. But again, the problem is, by the way, you can really see what happens to Terran if they're not using medevacs constantly and they're causing threats around the map, as the Zerg can sort of, sidestep a lot of this. GG. Su takes game number 1. I'll tell you, man, it's one for the history books. I kind of hope we get to see a little bit more of that, because there's got to be something there.
That was a very interesting start. I don't know why the Hellbat ghost timing didn't work out. Maybe you just don't have enough snipes to deal with the roaches. Did he make an armory?
Did we make that up?
No, he did make an armory.
He did make an armory? Okay.
Because he got +1 vehicle weapons when he started the factory transition. So
I guess it makes sense. Yeah, if he's going to go into mech, he had to have had an armory early on.
What an interesting game. And Nautilus is going to be map number 2. And depending on the spawns, this could be very good for ByuN. This is his home map. This is the map that he chose based on the little arrows you got there on your screen.
That's right. Well, Nautilus, man, I mean, let's see what the spawns are going to be. It's a 2 out of 3 chance that the Terran is your next door neighbor on this map. And again, we already saw Su kind of suffer with that. ByuN probably going to go for a more typical style of play, but who knows, man.
Yeah, you'd have to think so, right?
And again, Su probably still scratching his head about, what to make of that Hellion ghost push with Snipe.
I'm still scratching my head.
I still don't know what to make of that. Anyways, guys, game 2 has loaded up. Let's go.
I came for war.
Guangdong Freaks, Su.
Tasteless. I see some SCVs on the map, Tasteless.
Shopify
do.
Rebellion. ByuN.
Yes, you too. Like, here's the thing: they make faster when they're in those speedy lives.
There's gonna be 3 barracks.
Yep.
It's gonna be 3 racks Marine right here in the dead center. You would think maybe he's gonna scout for the position. Nah, 3 racks. Let's do it.
Look at me, I'm a StarCraft player. I put him on patrol before I make him build. All right.
I do that too.
I know, everybody does.
I feel called out.
That's right. I feel attacked, said every pro gamer watching. Well, you know, you can do this on this map. We actually don't see it that much. But look, I mean, 3 racks centered. You have a lot of momentum with this.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like Sue is going to be going for any kind of drone scout to spot for proxies. I guess he just kind of assumes that it's not going to happen, hoping maybe if it is in the cards, an Overlord will spot it, but unbeknownst to him, Marine production has begun. I respect this so much, by the way. I love it when players, with their tournament lives on the line, go for plays like this one.
Oh, me too. Is he gonna make this bunker? What are we doing?
I think he's waiting.
Okay.
All right.
So there's 4 lings making, 2 queens being produced, and really no way to stop this bunker. The spine comes down as well.
Yeah, these bunkers are gonna go up pretty much uncontested, I want to say. More Marines being rallied across the map, and these 2 SCVs just continuing to build these bunkers. Have to note that Sue does have close to 100 gas, so he may be getting Zergling speed as part of his plan to try and deal with this.
The second bunker is about to complete. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a way to save the hatchery, but if the Zerg is going to go for it, you're basically going to dive in as the spine is done. Here we go.
All right.
He's going to send everything he's got.
It's a lot of lings. Spine crawler burrowing. A lot of damage coming in for these bunkers. The first SCV does get taken down there by the queens, focusing that down, but all the Zerglings are dead. All the drones are being pulled, and these bunkers stand tall. 132 gas in the bank, no use whatsoever.
Just did not target those SCVs like he should have.
It's tough. They're all the way to in the back. It's 2 bunkers. That's going to be it. ByuN ties it up 1-1.
What a gamer, bro. That was sick.
Oh,
Sue's
man.
just like, all right, so now this is my clown world I'm in. He's just in one of those haunted carnivals. There's just scary carnival clowns laughing at him.
I was wondering if he was going to try and make something, like sack the hatch and make something work for the gas, like maybe get Zergling speed, maybe get some roaches, but I guess it would just be too little too late. And instead kind of bites him in the butt. That's 1 less drone mining mineral. It's 130 minerals. It could have been maybe another 8-10 lings, and just gets wiped the floor with. ByuN, Janitor looking to clean this one up. Final match.
Final match, dude. Let's do this. Obviously, it's unlikely ByuN's going to do that again.
I would love to see it, though.
I welcome it. Berlingrad. By the way, ByuN, super cheesy today against Sue.
Yeah.
Super cheesy, man. Does not want to play a normal game. Is there something to that, I wonder?
Yeah. There might be something that we don't know, and from practice games, from maybe open cups.
Something, man. All right, guys. Immediately, game 3 starts. Who moves on? Let's find out.
I came for war.
Guangdong Freaks, Sue. Shopify Rebellion, ByuN.
ByuN is a madman.
It's kind of crazy that he did that.
He's going CC first.
Yeah, well, this is one of those things where you rush the first game and it's like the next game, I am going to do the greediest build known to man. Now, it is pull first, but I don't know. You know, when you see pull first, it doesn't always mean like, oh, I'm going to rush you. It could just be like, I don't want to be rushed, basically. I want to play safe.
Yeah, I want to see how many larva Sue has up because this could be bad for ByuN. He's making some larva now. I think just one. Second one should pop right when that spawning pool is done, and there it is.
Okay, 2 lings. Wouldn't this be some poetic justice? You know?
Sue just completely busts him with Zerglings. I mean, he
like
is
a modern-day Greek parable here, man.
He's
like,
getting gas now. Let's see if he goes back into drone production or into Zerglings. I would imagine it's going to be another drone.
I mean, it would seem just bizarre if he kept making lings, only to discover that his opponent, you know, didn't CC first. Like one of the only things that this would, you know, because you would not expect here.
You just never know what's going in the mind of these players, though. I mean,
yeah.
We don't know how many, if they've played practice games together in the past before they knew the groups.
Or rumors are floating around, like,
right.
You know, ByuN's going CC first a lot on ladder, stuff like that.
As it stands, ByuN going to get this CC first up, no, without any trouble, really. And
yeah, no punishes.
Against pool first, that's a pretty nice situation, too, because the economic advantage is in his favor.
You get a head start right away.
Yeah, 22 workers to 20. That's a nice start. So we see ByuN now getting a reactor up in the factory and just nice little eco boom as he's transitioning into pretty standard play. And Sue gonna be seeing the CC and feeling a little bit upset, I'm sure. Never a good feeling when you know your opponent got away with some insane greed there at the start.
Yeah, this is a frustrating moment. You're like going over your build and hitting all your marks, then you get there and you go, ah! He did that.
Just be one Hellion at the time. Actually, reactored Marines coming down now, and circling speed is about halfway done. These circling's causing a little bit of trouble, getting a little bit of scouting information, denying a little bit of mining time, but get shoot away there by the Hellion, which will clean them up. And ByuN now just putting down the starport. Sue just continuing the drone, take a third base. Nothing too crazy so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is all. You know, very ordinary. Again, Terran does have that lead. The CC first. It is coin flippy, man.
Yeah.
But I think if you know when to install it into a best of 3 or a best of 5, it can be very, very strong. Not exactly the kind of build you want to have in a generic ladder game because you just don't know what you're against. You'll just end up dying outright. Or, but I think in a series like this, it's a smart play.
Yeah, to those watching at home, this is one of those moments where we want to advise you.
Kids, don't try this at home.
You may regret it.
So Stim on the way now.
Yeah, no engineering base just yet.
No, I mean, Sue basically just staying back, macroing up. I mean, you have to know that with the head start, whatever ideas Terran's going to have, they're going to come a little bit more quickly because of that CC first. So, you know, I would be surprised if ByuN played any kind of super withdrawn game because I think that it would just behoove him to try to come out and you know, strike with that momentum that he's got because of the opening.
Yeah, I would imagine that it's going to be some timing coinciding with +1 ground weapons. And the 2 evolution chambers are just now starting, so there will be maybe a 20-30 second window if ByuN does decide to go for that timing push, where he will have an upgrade lead that can be advantageous for him in this Viking. I love these plays, man.
Yeah.
Yeah?
He's like, my wings are out. See you later.
2 drones, do you take those? Oh no!
Oh no!
Maybe you don't take those.
Why was I built to fly slow? You can see when Blizzard was designing that unit, they're like, well, this could be the most busted thing ever that the Viking can land. Let's really make it so that this is not abused.
It really could have been.
It could have been, for sure.
It really could have been.
If it could land like the Viking in the cutscene in Heart of the Swarm before it gets dumpstered by the Ultralisk. Remember that scene? Imagine being that Viking driver. You're like, hold on, I got this. You literally were in the air and you landed into the swarm of Zerg units that were coming across the map.
Yeah, Twitch
to an Ultralisk.
Yeah, Twitch chat's just like, what are you doing, bro? You suck. I mean, this is the Look at this army coming out for ByuN right now. I mean, this is looking pretty formidable, and this is kind of the advantage that you get from going CC first is, yeah, your timings, they might be a little bit slower. You might be a little bit behind where you would normally push, but when you eventually do get all of your pieces together, you're stronger than you could have even imagined, as we have a lot of Marines pushing out. Right at the same time, the +1's going to be finishing and combat shields, 2 tanks, 2 medevacs, clearing the creep and setting up in a very similar position that we saw Bunny set up right here around this ramp to kind of go for that 3rd base.
Yeah, and let's remember, you know, Bunny really did a pretty impressive job of that, and ByuN should have an even better position here now, all things considered. And so he's going to set up on the ramp. He needs to spread these siege tanks out a little bit more.
Interesting to me that he's taking down these rocks.
Yeah. Well,
I would have thought that you would want to protect those to...
Me too. But let's see, you know, what kind of fight he's going to have here, I guess.
Oh, he wants to creep forward on this side. Okay, that makes sense. 2 Liberators in production now. And keep in mind, this is Roach Ravager here for Sue, so it's a different army composition than we saw.
It's not just Banes that need to connect. Oh my God, great fight over here with the army bottleneck between the Geyser and the Hatch. Beautiful stutter stepping over here. The Roach is still not really moving right now. They're going to try to come up here and get on this tank.
All right, huge concave coming in here for Sue as ByuN's fighting back right now. These Marines are so powerful right now with their +1 ground weapons. Going to take the best trade that he can, sacrifice the tanks, and then get on out of there. And, I mean, the Roach composition, it does kind of power up a lot. If these were Banelings that got focused down by the tanks, this could be a completely different game. This is one of the reasons why we see ByuN going for Liberators and trying to get out of this position is this army composition for Circuit doesn't scale super well, but it's very good at stopping these pushes from Terran.
Okay, another nice attack in here and a pickup. I don't know, man. I feel like Sue's kind of okay.
Yeah, this has been very well controlled so far. I mean, ByuN's kind of got to go back home and try to hunker down right now. And keep in mind, if you're watching at home, there is a 30 supply advantage for Sue and Army. But Roach Ravager is very supply inefficient, so it's not as wide a gap as it might seem. It might still be hard for Sue to break this unless he gets all of his forces over here, but ByuN doing a good job keeping him back with these 2 medevacs.
And, you know, just a 2-basing Terran, this doesn't really pan out that well. You know, we see a lot of pushes, but, the ones on 2-base, they're more required to end the game than the ones on 3. The ones on 3, you kind of ebb and flow your way through that, and there's room for recovery. The thing about going Roach Ravager as well is eventually you end up with this maxed out army, and then you want to try to throw that at the 2-basing Terran here.
Yep, 2 Liberators going off in the main and the natural right now getting some damage, and this is a pretty good fight there for ByuN as well. Really big siege tank shots come in, a lot of units going down. The main and the natural, they're not mining. 9 Trones are dead, and ByuN is starting to fight back, Tasteless.
Yeah, ByuN is doing a lot of damage. And, Roach Ravager, they don't really have a whole lot of recourse here at moments like this.
Yeah, he would have to send the Ravagers back home to Bile, but he's getting pinned in the front right now because if he moves his Ravagers to back deal with that, he might just lose the game.
Okay, he does manage to take out those Liberators. It's kind of crazy to see how much you can kite with this Roach Ravager, but is there just too much? Is he just going to overpower him here? He is. He's going to stutter step forward. Just slam the tank with those biles.
Yeah, that was a big fight there by Sue. He cleans up all the tanks, but in the meantime, this army for Sue is also very immobile now as you see ByuN trying to stretch him thin going into the main base, and this is preventing Sue from going for a counterattack as ByuN takes his 3rd. And also keep in mind, there was a huge economic advantage for Sue a moment ago, but the worker counts after that Liberator double attack, they've almost equalized.
Yeah. The big thing, though, is that Terran is just now starting to mine from the 3rd. And that is a lot of times where, in this back and forth, Zerg will just run in there and just attack right down on top of that CC.
The one thing I'm really worried about for Sue, though, is that now that ByuN has identified the play style that Sue was going for, which is Roach Ravager, he's navigating his army composition accordingly. He's making more Liberators, he's mixing in a lot of Marauders, and they're going to be doing a lot of bonus damage to this army. And if you're Sue right now, even if you catch ByuN out of position, which he barely doesn't here, ByuN's actually taking a really good fight. This is some nice stutter step and trading. I'm not sure Sue's going to be able to break this. This drop in the main is deadly as well.
You know what? Honestly, I think he didn't appreciate the fact that as long as there are 2 medevacs with units in it, the threat of a drop is actually very scary. And again, if you don't go for Mutas, man, you can't really stop the medevacs from roaming around unless you can actually hunt down those, hunt them down with the queens.
Yeah, but look at Su's economy now. He has no recourse except to continue on Ling, Roach, Ravager. He can't afford any tech transition whatsoever. He has to keep doing this because ByuN just is not letting off on the gas pedal. And ByuN is kind of forcing his opponent into an army composition that really doesn't scale well. At the same time, ByuN is building the perfect army to counter it.
Oh, man. You know, it's funny, like, Su's done okay, but, you know, again, this composition doesn't lend itself to safety, right?
Right.
You're kind of having to just run around and chase down the Terran that can pretty liberally move around the map. And, I mean, when you have comps this high, look, you can just target down the hatchery and then peace out.
Back to 3-base versus 3-base. The drops are continuing. Liberator's doing even more damage, and man, this feels like it's going to be an insurmountable lead for ByuN right now. Su really on his last legs as he's going for one big counterattack, but that position looks really tough to break, Tasteless.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit boxy to try to get in there. I mean, the tanks and the Widow Mines, everything's like in a very good spot here.
All right.
Oh my God. I think that we're about to see the end here.
Yep, Su's got to pull a miracle out of his hat right now to make this fight happen. This is a good engagement for him. He's got a good concave, but the army for ByuN is so powerful. Even SCV is being pulled right now to tank for the Marine Marauder, and the Ravagers now are starting to fall. Su does have a supply lead. He's making this work for now. Oh, it's so close.
It's actually so close here. Just a couple Roaches and Ravagers left over. I don't see any infantry, though.
Su might be able to make this work.
I just don't see anything right now. The CC has to pick up.
ByuN's dropped down to 33 workers. He's at 43 army supply. His army supply is half that of Su's.
He has no tanks.
There's
nothing to basically set up. So for all the damage that Su absorbed throughout this game, he never really had an answer for this, you know, just monsoon of Zerg units to come down eventually. It was inevitably going to happen.
All right, the SCVs are being pulled again. ByuN trying to survive right now. We said Su might need a miracle, and it looks like he might have gotten it. He's breaking through the natural. ByuN now at 53 supply. GG.
That's it. Su takes it in a nail-biter of a finish. And I'll tell you what, ByuN brought a lot of variety here, but it wasn't the right type.
My God.
Su comes out surviving, I think, one of the weirdest TVZs we'll probably have in this season. We're talking about, you know, triple proxy racks to just rug pull him in Game 2. In Game 1, it was, wait for it, Hellion Ghosts. So, all right, that's crazy. Su barely beats that. And then in this game, I mean, just with a powerful 2-base attack, Su hangs on, but takes a beating throughout. However, in the last couple of seconds, just smashes ByuN. And here we have it, man. What an ending to Group B. We're going to go to an interview now and see how Su is feeling as he has moved on to the next round of the GSL.
What a neck-and-neck match that was between Su and ByuN. Su returns, and he moves on to round of 10 as the second place of the group. Congratulations. Thank you. So Su, sincere congratulations. As soon as you get discharged from the military service, you come back, and then you safely land your feet on the round of 10. So how do you feel after winning today, Su? After being discharged, and coming back to GSL, and you know, having great results right after coming back, you know, I feel really happy about that. So it is very fascinating to yield such great results today, Su. And so, were you confident today? I mean, it's been a long time, so you know, my hands were shaking. I was quite nervous. So I knew that today's match would be a hard one. And you know, actually use the nervousness to my advantage. Alright, let's talk about the final match. The last game. You know, the last game kind of resembled the match you played against Bunny. So what were some winning points in that game? You know, after fending off the first army, I feel like I let my guard down, and ByuN was able to shake me left and right. And I was almost overwhelmed by him, but I had my last shot with the Ravagers and the Zerglings. And there were some upgrade discrepancy. And I had a feeling that if I strike him at that right time, I'll be able to defeat him.
사실 이 변현우 선수의 성향상 메카닉은 사실
So
예상할 수
ByuN,
없는 범위였을 것 같은데
you probably didn't expect the mechanic.
대처까지 깔끔했거든요.
And then, the Swarm host actually played an instrumental role in your victory.
시기에 준비를 하신 건가요?
So was that a preparation you made prior to today's match? I did not expect the mechanic today. But I was actually thankful to ByuN. I mean, ByuN is a stellar player at using Bionic Army, but when he switches to Mechanic Army, he lacks the proficiency. So, although I lack in proficiency with my strategy, he also lacks in proficiency. So I had that mindset all along the game. And there was a strategy that I used, that I witnessed in the latter game, and I followed it, and then, I had great results from that.
특별한 이유가 있는지 궁금해요.
I don't have that many friends.
새벽까지 게임만 하거든요.
So I just played games till midnight, past midnight, and I think the amount of practice actually bore the result today.
저녁하고 맨날 놀기만 하거든요.
And Classic, in contrast, ever since he got discharged from the army, he just plays all day and he doesn't practice hard. So I think I'm kind of worried about Classic. Alright, so Sue, your first match was against Zest after your military service, and you win the match against Zest as well. So how was this match in general as your comeback match? I mean, Zest, we go way back. I mean, he's doing a good job right now. And I do think he's a difficult opponent to go up against, but he always does the same thing. That's so I try to just exploit what he always plays, and then I think that was why I was able to win. And I think Zest should start packing his bag to go to the army soon. Alright, so let me talk to you about a topic that's not related to gaming. So what is your most favorite matchup right now? I feel like ZVP and ZVT, it's really hard for me because the meta shifted a lot. So I would have to say ZVZ. Yes, I would have to say ZVZ is the most confident one right now. And right now, Hero has been receiving a lot of spotlight because he's been using this innovative meta strategy, using the Blink Stalkers and the Oracle. And it feels like he opened up a new paradigm for Protoss. And Sue, you also used to emphasize the early game in your own playstyle. So I'm kind of interested to see you going into this Hero. So what do you think about Hero these days? At first, I didn't have that much confidence against him, but I saw the Group A interview today, and he said that he wanted to go up against me. So right now, I think he kind of burned my passion. So I do want to go up against him in the round 10. I mean, round 10's fine, or even the upper rounds. I want to face Hero. Alright, a confident answer coming from you, Sue. Then Sue, from your perspective, is there a person you don't want to play against in the round of 10? I mean, it's only Group B today, so I cannot be too sure. But in Leather, I didn't really consider anyone to be a picky opponent, a tricky one. But DRG made it to round 10 already, and I think DRG is a good opponent to face against. Alright, an important question for you, Sue. Sue, your comeback match is 2022 February, and this is your 22nd GSL official season. So this season, how far will you be able to make it? I think I will be able to come runner-up, second place. Yeah, I mean the number 2 holds a special place in his heart. Alright, so that was his resolution for this season. So a lot of the fans are very rejoiced to see you play in Season 2, Sue. So before you go, anything you want to say? Well, I'm sure the fans had a lot of worries for me coming to the season. I have made it safely to round of 10. I'll persevere even more. I'll try harder, and I'll try to put on a better performance in the next round. Once again, congratulations on making it to the full league round of 10, Sue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andy. And congratulations to Sue. What a crazy day today was.
Yeah, man, stacked group and unexpected results.
Yeah, man. This was fun. Excellent work today, State. As you guys can see, our results here. Bunny and Sue survive, and Zest and ByuN, they're dead.
They're dead.
They're dead. They're gone. Maybe we'll see them in season 3.
They'll be back season 3. I know it.
Yeah,
those guys are so good. But man, Sue really pulling the rabbit out of the hat there in the last match. That was something incredible.
That was kind of crazy. Really came down to just honestly out-finessing a micro god like ByuN. We're going to be back on Monday, same time, same place. Dark, Ryung, Armani, and Zhaon are who are going to be competing.
It's going to be a fun one.
Yes. It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, I think Dark gets out no matter what. And then, I don't know, Ryung has looked really good lately. Armani is going to have a tough time in this group. But, you know, Zhaon is so strong.
He's a wild card, you know? I feel like he really has a chance to win the group or at least come in second. Depending on how he's feeling at the time, he's kind of reminds me of ByuN in that way, and that sometimes he's really hot, sometimes he's not. Maybe his peaks aren't as high, but yeah, he's a really good player.
Well, also, let's keep in mind, we have this new PvZ style that everybody's talking about. Zhaon is a modern Protoss. I mean, one thing with Zest is it seems like some seasons he's more active than others. Like, he's one of these guys where he's like always good enough that he's going to qualify for a GSL, but he did seem to bring a lot of old ideas here. If Zhaon can come in on Monday and play the same kind of style that Hero does and play it as well, I think he actually can get out first.
It's possible. I mean, we heard in interviews that Creator is kind of changing the way that he approaches the game as well, and Zhaon and Creator, they're good friends. They might be learning from each other. Who knows?
Yeah, that's right. We may be having a bit of a Protoss revolution. I think a much-needed one, to be honest, with Protoss not really doing that well in GSLs. It would certainly be a welcome change.
It's honestly a breath of fresh air, too. Like, that playstyle is so much more fun to watch.
It's so different
from
anything we've really seen. It's almost hard to define, at least for me when I was first casting it, where I'm like, what exactly is going on here? Guys, that's all the time we have. We love you. Take care. We will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
#2022 GSL Season 2.